Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Good morning, everyone. We're just getting a little bit set up here to accommodate some remote folks. As soon as we're done with that, we're going to start our introductions formally. But for now, you can get to know those around you. Short introduction. Which chapter are you in, if you're in any chapter? And just give us a couple of minutes to accommodate our virtual guests. There's going to be a little quiz on the people on your left and right, so you might want to make sure you know who they are. Check. Okay. Okay. Inside. All right. Think. Oh, it got a little bit of course. Thank you, Sandra. Cool. And just put this. Okay. All right. Well, good morning. How are you doing? Have you had your coffee fix for the day? You're going to need it. Welcome to PMP Exam Prep. This is a boot camp that we have held for SHPE for going to 8 years now. So you guys are like the 8th generation, so to speak, of this program. It's a pleasure to be with you. My name is Phil, and
my name is Sandra. I was part of the 7th generation, just here last year. Well, Kansas City.
Awesome. So let's introduce ourselves really quick. So I think Sandra is going to go first. So if I can get these back to my screen, they'll be able to see everything properly.
There we go.
Okay.
Good morning. I am currently a senior engineering manager in the operations group at Medtronic in the infection control division. Previously, I was working in a development organization for powered devices. I have been an engineering specialist. I have an automotive background prior to medical devices, and prior to that was industrial. Engineer by trade, chemistry with some music and exercise physiology, and then chemical engineering, then mechanical engineering, then MBA, and then PMP. So PMP is probably one of my favorite additions to my lexicon lately. What else? Six Sigma. Yeah, I think that covers it. Six Sigma, both DMAIC and DFSS. Very technical. I did my MBA partially to balance out my technical with business. And then I did PMP partially because it was offered through the conference with part of the registration, which is absolutely amazing. Do you know how much you pay for this when it's not part of conference? And so I did that just to get some personal growth and information, and it was a fabulous class. I'm back again this year on this side of the room.
Awesome. Thank you, Sandra. And my name is Phil. I will be your colleague and your friend, taking you through the journey to getting certified with Sandra. The cool thing about having someone that has been through the program is that they actually know the struggles, you see? Because I can stand up here all day and recite the PMBOK guide to you, but you're going to be like, okay, how do I take all of this stuff and become a PMP? She can tell you because she's been through this same program.
Oh, that's okay.
This time last year, she sat down somewhere around there. That's
Over
a good
there.
sign. You're probably going to be the first person to get certified because he's sitting right where you did.
Yep, one chair over, but we're good.
But the cool thing about it, folks, is she's been through the program. I got certified in 2005, trying to do it all on my own. I can tell you there's nothing like having a coach or a trainer to help you through the trajectory, and she can attest to that. So there are my credentials: first degree within civil, second in master's construction IT. I got PMP certified out of not just the want, but the need. I really needed it. So I moved from the UK in 2003, and the job I was meant to have done, it didn't pan out as I wanted to. So I ended up working in an environmental engineering company, and I really needed the PMP so bad. The moment I got PMP certified in 2005, my salary level went up 300%, 300. People like the Motorola's of the world and the Honeywells of the world, they were not looking at my resume. The moment I got certified, my salary level just jumped up. So I worked for GD shortly after on a short-term project. I mean, I was even picking and choosing after a while. Then I worked for Honeywell. Then I worked for Motorola. I worked with US Airways for a bit. But before I got certified, my degree wasn't cutting it, folks. So a lot of firms, they take project management very, very seriously. And if you don't have a PMP, you may not move up. You know, there was a firm I was in, name withheld, but management said, if you don't get a PMP, you're going to stay as project manager. You will not be able to go to senior project manager. So I don't know what the case is in your firms, but for me, it was an absolute necessity. I had to get certified. Since getting certified, I have worked, like you can see, in a lot of companies, trained a lot of firms. I can tell you, project management is on the map. It's really on the map to stay. Sandra and I were having a discussion before we came in about a particular manager who said, you have to get PMP certified as part of your objectives. So do you guys have that objective in your firm that you must get certified, or it's part of your yearly goals? Anyone? Okay, one person. So this stuff is here to stay. That's the bottom line. I can also tell you a lot of these firms you see here, or organizations like the FBI, Who would have thought the FBI needed training in project management? They do, because I trained some of them, and they killed the exam. When I say kill, I mean they really did well on the exam. Within 6 weeks. 6 weeks is all they needed. So, I mean, thank goodness, right? Army Corps of Engineers, trained people from there, got people certified. The U.S. Army, the U.S. Air Force isn't listed here, but I've also trained folks from there as well. NASA, right? Who sent the man to the moon? Trained people from there as well. Department of Transport, Department of Commerce. So what I'm trying to tell you is that your decision to come for this training is a very good decision. First of all, you're going to be informed in this session about what the PMP exam is all about. And secondly, when you come back in the afternoon, you're going to be able to hear the tricks of the trade about how to take what you've got from this conference and get certified. It's one thing to be here and look all cute, like in your suits, and you look immaculate. But the next thing is to execute. Don't look cute, execute. You got to execute on getting certified. And like I say, she is the person. She is the poster child as to how to do this. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And just in time, we have Gabrielle, who's going to speak to us a little bit about a few modalities. So over to you.
Thank you, Phil. Buenos dias, everyone. Sorry, let me just jump up to the front real quick. I see a lot of familiar faces, and I see some new ones, so it's good to see you. And for those of you in placer, my name is Gabriel Grajeda. I'm the chair of the Professionals in STEM conference this year. So I'm really glad that you're able to join us. We're really excited that you're able to be a part of this immersive program so that we can really give you all the opportunities that you need to succeed in your careers. I just want to, like Phil was mention a couple of logistical items. So you are, like you saw in my email, going to be working from 9 to 5. But I'm not going to be starving you. There is going to be a lunch. It's going to be from 12 to 1, and it's going to be in room 203. So right around lunchtime, right around 12 o'clock, we'll go ahead and get you ready. We're going to be having a lunch and learn kind of scenario where we're going to be looking at current topics in STEM, so kind of hopefully a little bit of a decompressor, because as I've been talking with Phil, it's going to be a lot of information. It's going to be worth it, but it's going to be a lot of information. So I'm trying to help make sure that you decompress at least just a little bit, so then when you're ready to come back, starting about 1:15-ish, you'll be ready to crank out. Sound good? Restrooms are going to be, once you exit these doors, they're going to be all the way over to the right. There's a nice sign over there that says restrooms, but if you go out these doors, it's going to be right to the right. Elevators, like most of you probably came up, most of you probably already came up in an elevator from this side over there, but just in case for whatever reason that this one does not work, there's another one all the way in the back corner over there. If you have any questions, these two have my phone number. You can always reach out to me. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth because I'm also facilitating the session that we're not doing the PMP bootcamp for. But if anything, any questions right now? Great. Then I'll see you at lunch at 12 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. All right. Why don't we start with our first project for the day, which is summarize your entire experience in 20 seconds or less. So we're going to start on this side of the room. You're going to introduce yourself, tell us your name, company you work for, and what you do for your company. All right.
My name is Carlos Farias. I'm a researcher, a paid researcher at UC Berkeley. I research cybersecurity in the nuclear field. I hold a bachelor's in nuclear engineering, and I want to move into PM.
Fantastic. Thank you, Carlos. Awesome. Did you guys hear what he said? Nice. I'm going to quiz you on what he said at the end, all right? So I hope you got it. Okay, Jackie?
My name is Jackie Reardon. I work at the MITRE Corporation. It's a systems engineering company. I've been there for about 15 years, so pretty much did my whole career there. I started when I was like 5 years old. My bachelor's is in business administration, but since I've worked with engineers pretty much my whole career, I try to moonlight as one. I did a couple years in finance. I did a couple years in a PMO office doing a lot of project management, overall like IAQ level stuff. And right now I'm working in business process stuff for the NIH.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right.
My name is Michael Garcia. I have been in the pharma medical device industry for 25 plus years. I'm experienced in engineering, quality, regulatory. external and 30 internal due to a regulation in the EU that we had to reconcile, that I had to reconcile. And for that, I was a professional quality engineer, one of 35 in GE in the Americas. Before that, I worked at Baxter, so I really cut my teeth at Baxter as design assurance senior manager. Before that, as a regulatory affairs manager with 2 510Ks in Reno. Before that, I was a reliability and quality engineer.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Sounds like a little bit of some similarities.
Little
to-
similarities,
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, you're next. So, what's his name? I'm joking, don't worry. That's the taste of what's coming. It's coming. All right, your name, sir, and introduce.
I am Aldo Ortega. I'm an engineer at Clean Energy Ohio. It's the gas utility here in Northeast Ohio.
Okay.
I currently manage one of our main capital budgets, which is used to fund projects that are driven by, conflict between our assets and third party like municipality construction. I scope those projects and I manage their forecasts and their designs and as well.
Cool.
Through their execution.
Cool. So, do you guys use the PMI's approach at all? The PMBOK guide and things such as that?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay. So, I'm curious. I'll talk to you more later because you mentioned some keywords which are smack dab in line with the world of the PMI. So, good. Thank you, Aldo. All right. Hi. What's your name?
My name is Marity Mazaira,
Okay.
and I am a recent, just entered into the workforce. I graduated with Industrial Systems Engineering.
Nice.
And I'm also working at a utility company in Michigan. It's called DTE.
Okay.
And my team does a lot of continuous improvement projects for the enterprise of distribution operations.
Nice.
So I'm working with increasing the productivity of the tree trimmers and also with solar connections, just the construction phase of about 10 million.
Great. Fantastic. Awesome.
A lot of project management.
Nice.
here and there.
Nice. Do you use PMBOK in your company?
I
PMBOK approaches or?
We do, so we have the CI continuous improvement for
Okay.
the whole enterprise.
Cool.
My team is more solely focused on engineering projects.
Gotcha.
Just for distribution operations.
Gotcha.
So I think the enterprise does, but we haven't.
Awesome. Thank you. Morning, morning. Have we met before?
I was one of your workshops.
Yeah, I recognize your face, man. What's your name?
Anthony?
Anthony, good to meet you again. Cool, good, good, good. So, remind me, it's been years, I can't remember the firm. Was it in, was it Baltimore or was it? Yeah, there you go. Cool.
So I'm Anthony Hara, work for the Army Corps of Engineers.
Aha, yes,
So I'm a COR, which is a contracting officer representative,
good.
and I mainly deal with construction, quality assurance. And for the past 2 to 3 years or so, I've been thrust into the world of project management because my PM doesn't want to do real work. So as I've been told, you know, pick up the pieces and take on that role more and more. If I do want to go into the PM side, I
Cool.
strongly encourage you to get into PMP.
Nice. So CORs are not, they don't manage the project, but is it more of a contracting officer or what?
So it is managing the contract on behalf of the contracting officer in
Okay,
the field.
okay,
And a lot of times the PM role is to also deal with a lot of the customer side of it.
okay,
And in keeping everybody informed of what's going on with the project and steering it if it gets out of whack.
cool.
On our end, in our office, the more and more that we're taking on that role
Okay,
in the field, and so
Gotcha.
we're going to have to deal with that, especially within the big.
nice. So do you really want to get PMP certified at the end?
Now, yes.
Cool, awesome. Morning.
So I'm Zipo. I'm a recruiter with Indeed. So I came
Oh, indeed, yeah.
came here for the career fair, but I
Cool.
thought it would be a great opportunity.
Nice. I go to Indeed once in a while. I look for jobs with regards to training this stuff, but I don't find a lot of them on Indeed, yeah.
For training,
For training project management.
maybe we should take a
Yeah. But your site is world renowned, so very good. Good to meet you. Z, right?
Yes.
Cool, thank you. All right. So part of our project is to write down our names on a blank piece of paper. So, Carlos, do you have a blank piece of paper in your possession? Who has a blank piece of paper? Or any, it could be from a notepad, doesn't have to be a fancy one. Just find a blank piece of paper and let's write our names, pass it round. Sandra and I would like to keep in touch. I've got the Excel file, so if you did the survey and you got my email this morning, yeah, that means I've got your email. But if you didn't get an email from me this morning, that means we don't have your email. So we would like you to write down your name, write down your email address, how we can get hold of you. We're not going to spam you or anything. And just write that this is session 1. So you can just put them in columns: name, email, session 1, and date. All right, let's start from the front of the room. Hi, we have met numerous times. Yes. And you are PMP certified now. No. Very good. So tell us how you got certified. How was the journey? Hey. So you volunteered, like, was that in Orange County? Where was it? Good Lord. So remind me of your name, I'm sorry. Natalie, of course. Yes. Good to see you again. Are you going to like put an end to the hanging PMP, that you're owing yourself? Maybe that now. She really helped me out on a number of conferences. I think about 2 conferences. And we even have a picture we took together, remember? Well, introduce yourself, like company and all that.
My name is Natalie Davila Rendon. I just moved recently to another company. It's called
Lockheed?
Lockheed. Yes.
Oh, okay.
But mostly I work in the defense area, and I have experience from test equipment. I work in production.
Yeah.
And now
Just
I work
take the paper out.
Cool. Cool. Good to see you. As soon as you walked in, I'm like, yeah, she's going to get certified. Oh, she is certified. So, anyway. Hey, what's up?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Lázaro Baza. I am an electrical engineer. I have 15 years of experience in aerospace.
Nice.
Primarily.
Which aerospace firms?
I started out of college. I started working with Raytheon Company.
Nice.
So one of the things I realized to move up the corporate ladder, you definitely need to go through the project management.
There you go. Right on.
Which is
Yep.
one of the accelerated routes within Raytheon. So I was fortunate to be given the opportunity to become a project manager early on in my career. Good. So I'm more of a learn on the job with no formal training. They do have a certification.
Yes, that's true.
Yes. And so in my most recent role, currently I am a principal lead engineer over at Northrop Grumman Aerospace.
Okay, nice.
In San Diego, California.
Ah, okay. I've been out to the San Diego facility for Raytheon because there were a number of people who were in the conference and they wanted to continue. I can't remember the name of my contact there, but I've been out to that facility. Yeah. Nice. Well, good to meet you. All right. How you doing? What's your name?
So I'm a software engineer over at a small company called Electricity in the Dallas Fort Worth.
Nice. Okay.
Been with this company for 6 years. Software engineer /
Uh-huh. Project management hats too?
Yeah.
You try not to get involved. Do you use Scrum or Agile? Ah, good.
Scrum, Agile.
Good.
Scrum Master, but I need to take
Oh, are you a CSM?
Yes. So
Nice. Let's do the secret handshake for CSMs. We got a secret handshake. Yeah.
I need to take this PMP and see how can I
just
tie
see.
it up to
Nice.
to the Agile.
There you go. We can help you do that. So I did a CSM. Obviously, I know the handshake. So, also ACP, Agile Certified Practitioner with a PMI. So I can show you the tricks of the trade. And you're in the right zone because now for the PMP exam, they've introduced the whole dialogue of Agile. And of course, Scrum is in the Agile umbrella. So you'll be at home in that domain. But looking at project management as just being a fluid mass of different things, you'll find it easy to apply your knowledge in software to this for sure. Yeah, well, thank you. All right.
Okay. Hello, my name is Carmen Paniagua. It's a very easy name for the ones who speak Spanish, right? Paniagua. I finished my degree in the University of Wisconsin, PhD in industrial engineering. But after, finishing, I went and took care of my 2 daughters. And I came back to teach classes, and I'm actually associate professor in math department in a community college.
Nice.
And it's intensive,
Mm.
teaching 5 classes every semester, including the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to move to industry.
Ah.
And this is why I'm here. Because I really want to move and have the experience, real life, right? Not only
Not
theory,
academic.
to live in theory, but I just really want the experience of going back and do, something
Gotcha.
interesting.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. So making it pragmatic, that is a goal. Very good. All right. Morning.
My name is Jeremy Morales. I graduated from UC San Diego with chemical engineering bachelor's.
Nice.
Then I went to work for Schlumberger out of West Africa for about a year and a half.
Where in West Africa?
Equatorial Guinea.
Oh, good.
I was in the platforms out there.
Okay.
Then I came back to UC Santa Barbara, got a master's in technology management.
Good.
Goes hand in hand with this.
Yeah.
And now I work for Hormel Foods.
Oh, Hormel. Good. Good. Yeah.
Fremont, Nebraska.
Okay. Good. Very.
I live in the middle of nowhere.
So very rich experience from Equatorial Guinea all the way to Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Wow. You're the man I want to train on, what do we call it, cultural awareness and all of that kind of stuff. Thank you, Jeremy. Hi.
Hi, good morning. My name is Daniel Science. I'm an industrial engineer by background. After college, I joined ExxonMobil Corporation.
Okay.
So I've worked there for the last 5 years. And I've had several roles in the operations, leading projects in operations.
Oh, nice.
Already, but with no formal training, just on the job learning.
Did you catch what he said? It sounded like an oxymoron. Leading projects within operations. But that is really a thing that's part of the PMBOK guide. We call it management by projects or management as projects. So you're in operations, but you still have projects that you need to get straight. That's cool. So ExxonMobil, like in this state or different?
In Houston.
Okay, oh, Houston. Nice. We got a client out there, a good client called Oceanarian. They kind of do stuff in oil and gas. So yeah, still in that domain. Good, good to meet you. Awesome. Hi.
Hello there. Hi, I'm Denise Flores-Cabrera, project manager at a large insurance corporation in Chicago.
Okay.
So I have previous project management experience
Uh-huh.
in EPB, PMO.
Okay.
And after being passed up for like some promotions, I realized what they're doing in the organization. They decided to staff their own PMs because they were tired of saying goodbye after the project,
Okay.
and coming back through a formal
Uh-huh.
process to ask for a new PM. So I noticed though, although it was the same title as a project manager, it was a higher level.
Okay.
So my daughter's very encouraged. She's like, Mom, you gotta apply for at least an interview. And I'm like, okay. So I interviewed and I got the job.
Nice. Congrats.
But I'm new to this division of
Mhm.
innovation governance.
Okay.
And they're looking to implement project management, philosophy, methodology.
Gotcha.
And so a colleague of mine and I are tasked with, developing project management in our department. So
Okay.
my manager said, yeah, well, that's part of your goal, so make it happen. So I'm like, okay, no pressure. So here I am. and
Cool.
I'm really looking to,
Cool.
I'm all ears and
Nice.
I want to talk to her and see how she did it. So I
Yeah.
can do it too.
Awesome.
definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you all very much. A round of applause for everyone in the room. Yes! Woo, woo, woo. You guys are awesome. Okay, so I hope our blank piece of paper has made its way. So we got everyone? Nice.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Okay.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. Hey, the math works.
Okay.
Imagine that.
So Anthony, little quiz for you. What is this gentleman's name? Who wants to be a millionaire, right? Do you want to be a millionaire? You got to get it right. Okay. Skip. Okay. Carlos. What is her name?
Something I want. What was it again?
Paniagua.
Round 3. Everyone has failed so far. Jackie, what is her domain of profession? She works in a big what firm in Chicago? Okay. Another botched job. Let's see. Aldo, can you tell me her name?
Something.
What's the letter of the alphabet that's most unlikely someone's name will be spelt with? I gave you that one. Okay. So, last but not least.
Ooh, but wait, I'm going to interrupt before last but not least because we had one person sneak in while we did introductions on this side of the room. So
I thought as much, yes. Okay.
Environment. So I'm in the Six Sigma lean manufacturing type of work, but as now I'm working in the global continuous improvement department. So the projects, I'm in Six Sigma, and lean is not enough right now. I mean, because the projects have been like more challenging.
Okay.
The company has been growing so much. So I work for HANA System, it's a Korean company.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Awesome.
great.
Thank you very much for the intro. You just spared Michael because I was going to ask him a question, but he's escaped. So, saved by the bell. This is what I would like you guys to do. I do that exercise to show you it's kind of hard to know everyone's name right off the bat. So if you guys would do me a favor and make a name tent and just put it in front of you, just fold a piece of paper 3 times, make a little pyramid-ish thing with it, stick it in front of you, and then Sandra and I won't be racking our brains. Oh, what's her name? What's his name? On the phone, or I should say, you know, on the internet, virtually, we have Diana, who's one of us, and Diana is attending virtually. So she brought in her cute daughter, and she's in a room somewhere nearby. She's joined us on a machine. So Diana, I'm not sure if you can, I'm not sure if you can say hello or something to that effect, but I'm going to try to unmute the speaker and see if you are there. Are you there? Oh, you unmute. Let me unmute you and see how this works. Hey, Diana, can you hear us?
I hear you.
Hey, look, thank you for joining, and we appreciate you, and you can't see the feed, but we're going to try our best. I know you may not have heard a lot of the intros, but can you introduce yourself so everyone knows you?
Yes. I'm right across the hall kind of from you and in a darkened room because my daughter's taking her nap. But my name is Diana Umadia, and I'm the president of the Central Florida Professional Chapter. I'm a lifetime member of SHPE, and I did my undergrad in industrial engineering at the University of Central Florida and my master's in industrial and systems engineering at University of Florida. I am a stay-home mom this year, so I wanted to do my PMP to keep myself fresh and to keep my resume sharp. And I may be applying for my doctorate at USC in Southern California, but I'm not sure yet. Just trying to keep all my doors open as we create what our life is going to be here with this family.
Awesome.
Oh, and my experience. Most of my experience has been in the Department of Defense doing program management work and as a master scheduler. I've also done a little bit of intellectual property work at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for the intro, and I'm glad that you're able to join us virtually. And if there's anything you want us to rehash, feel free to type in a chat, and as soon as Sandra or I are able to take a look at it, we will, and we'll address your questions, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So, folks, you came into this class with ideas, questions about the exam. We got some viewers who are remote on this machine as well. I'd just like to say welcome. It seems like you're frozen or we're frozen, whichever one. It seems like we're frozen.
Well,
but
it is
I would
pretty
like
chilly.
you guys to do me a favor, and if you could, just on a post-it note or paper, any questions you have about the PMP exam for Sandra or myself, we would love to answer those for you right off the bat. We don't like questions hanging, so we want to take all questions right now. We're going to answer your questions, and that will be the first thing we do. So any questions about the PMP exam, write them down on a sheet of paper and pass them up front, and we're going to do an open Q&A right away. But before we get there, while you guys are writing your questions, do you know that the PMP exam is 4 hours and 200 questions? Multiple choice, one answer? Did you know that? It's 4 hours. You're going to need a lot of stamina. And you're not allowed to take Red Bull in. You're going to need a lot of stamina, folks. Trust me. Like my PMP exam, when I got done, I felt like I'd been running from a bear, like a wild bear, for like hours. So it is a bit of a stamina-needing exam, but Sandra and I are going to show you the tricks of the trade to getting this under your belt. So questions, send them to the front. Questions, comments, concerns. Moans, groans, and gripes. Questions, questions, questions.
Who needs a piece of paper for questions? Thank you.
Anything. No question is a dumb question. Thank you. Bring them to the front. Thank you very much. Question. I'm sure you came wondering. Obviously, you got questions. That's why you're here, right? Thank you. Thank you very much. And I mean, it's anonymous. You don't have to write your name down or anything. It's anonymous. Any other questions? Hand them to me. Thank you. Any other questions? 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 Thank you. Oh, the list. Good. Okay, did we get your name down on the list?
Yes, she did.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Okay. Here's some more. And the list. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So let's start off, Sandra. What's the first question we've got there?
Are there any prerequisites to becoming certified? Yes.
So prerequisites. Let's talk about prerequisites for the exam. So this image you're seeing here is from the U.S. Army at Fort Lee, and it's our opening picture for this section. But I'm going to go straight to this slide to address that. So Sandra, do you want to speak to what's on the slide?
Sure. First of all, you need to have certain educational and professional experience. So if you were a junior in high school, never finished high school, and have never worked in project management, you're not eligible to apply yet. So this outlines what education you need. Pretty much everybody here meets that requirement. We all have post-secondary education. So now our project management experience varies depending on what your education is. you put that in your application, but in addition to that, you need some education. 35 contact hours of education, and that's why you're here. This is one of the prerequisites that you need in order to get certified. And if you do this outside of this conference, this course is available through many organizations. I think Praision's probably one of the better ones and feels like the best. It's much greater than 10 times what the conference price registration is. So this is the best deal of the week, I swear.
Honestly, I mean, what SHPE has done for you guys is ridiculous. Let me just tell you right off the bat that a course of this nature, in fact, I'm going to have to go on mute so people don't hear the obscene deal that SHPE has made for you guys. So just remind me before the end. Say, Phil, you need to go off the record because I'm going to drop some crazy deal that is unimaginable. I need to mute it so people don't hear. You see what I mean? But SHPE has really done you guys an awesome favor. It would typically cost 5 times as much to go through the training that is available after this, because what we have is 3 days of a primer. We just want to give you guys the top of the waves and get you to understand what you're getting into. Now, if you really want to go the full distance like she did, you can sign up for the training that comes afterwards. And we actually have a class virtually that is starting next week. It's a virtual class. This wasn't even available to Sandra, and she was able to kill the exam. But for you guys are going to have the opportunity of joining a virtual program, which I'm currently doing for the U.S. Army at Fort Lee and a few other folks. You guys will be able to join that if you sign up. But I'll tell you what it will cost, because it's ridiculous. I can't even say it on the record. I'm going to have to go on mute. But as she told you, this is the piece that you guys are trying to get. Now, the hours you get from this, they won't be up to 35 hours because we're here for 3 days, roughly 5 hours per day. Because it's a 3-hour session, we're going to have breaks. So by the time you really add it up, you're getting roughly 18 hours at best for the 3 days. That's if you attend all sessions. So how do you get the other hours you need? You got to come on our program, come on our learning system, do the work like she did, follow through, and ace the exam. So we're going to share that later on. But you can see, even if you've just got a secondary school diploma, you can still take the PMP exam. You just need 5 years of experience in project management, that is. All right. Any follow-on questions about experience or prerequisites? All right. Sandra, what's next? Oh, we do have one.
What about, if you get not recertified, but maintain your certification every year? Like, what are those requirements?
Good question. So let's see if we've got that follow-on dialogue here. We got some follow-on dialogue. Just so you know, this particular slide deck, you can get this if you go to the link that I sent all of you. It's tinyurl. You want to write it down? tinyurl.com. Let me put it over here. So I'm going to type it in so you guys can see. It's tinyurl.com/PMP. And you can see up there, right? So if you go to that link, you can download it on your phone. We don't want to kill too many trees. We're environment conscious at SHPE. So we try to kill as few trees as we can, right? But go to that link, and you'll be able to download this presentation, all right? Yeah, SHPE. I mean our abbreviations, right? So can someone share, if anyone didn't get it, just share with them what you can see up there. So you said you got new contact lenses. Are they giving you a run for your money? I can't go anywhere without these, I tell you. Can't, because I wouldn't be able to see a single thing. All right, so let me bring up, I'm looking for the special slide where we talk about life after the PMP exam. Because a lot of people often say, Phil, am I signing myself up for something that I don't know? I'm like, no. Okay, I can't find the exact slide, but the bottom line is this. After you get PMP certified, the PMI expects you to get 60 professional development units every 3 years. So what is a professional development unit? It's a unit of additional education or a unit that shows you have volunteered in some capacity with the PMI, or you have trained someone else. So Sandra is getting PDUs for doing this. I'm getting PDUs. Well, if I need PDUs, I'll get PDUs for this. If I went for leadership class, leadership training, I would get 1 PDU for every hour that I spend doing leadership as a student, not as a trainer, as a student. You will also get hours of PDUs if you go for management training, business training, training in business, any of those business areas, and project management. So she's going to get PDUs as someone, we call it giving back to the profession. So she will get PDUs for as long as she trains in this course. You can also get PDUs by listening to audio, watching videos. There's a number of ways you can. So it's not that strenuous. And then you also get, I believe the number has been pegged down to less than 10, but you get a number of PDUs for being a project manager, like 8 or something like that, for just being a PM. So PMI tries to make it easy. There's a website that PMI has. I can show you here because it's all part of the dialogue. The website is projectmanagement.com. And if you eventually become a PMP and you become a member of the PMI, because these are 2 different things. It's one thing to be a member of the PMI, which requires $129 yearly. But it's another thing to be a PMP. You don't have to be a member to become a PMP, but it's cheaper to become a PMP if you're a member. See, if you want to become a member of the PMI, you pay them, how much did I just say? $129. Now, the first year you sign up to be a member, they'll say, we need a registration fee of $10. So it becomes $139 the first year. But after that, it's $129. Now, to take the PMP exam, if you are not a member of the PMI, it is $555. If you are a member of the PMI, it is $405. So what savings do you get by being a member? Engineers in the room. That's your first PMP question. $555 if you're not a member, $139 in your first year to join, and the exam would cost $405. What is the savings by being a member? Anyone?
Wow, quite a group.
$21. The first year costs $139. He's close. Say again? Huh? 10. How much is it to be a member on your first year? 139. How much is the exam if you are a member? 405. How much is the exam if you're not a member? 555. Engineers in the room. Is it hard, Sandra? Am I being mean?
Let's do it this way. If you had 555 cups of coffee and someone took away 405 cups of coffee, you'd have 150 cups of coffee. Now I've got my 150 cups of coffee sitting here. I'm going to pay how much my first year to PMI? $129.
$139.
And then the $10 to $139. So $150
go.
minus $139. It's 11. Yep.
11.
Yay.
So you save $11. But wait, there's more. You actually get a free copy of the PMBOK guide, which is the standard on which the exam is based, for free. Typically, you wouldn't even be able to get a PDF copy of it. But if you were buying a hard copy, you'd pay going to 50 or 60 bucks. You get that for free. Do you know what else you get for free? This, I tell you, is worth all of the 139 bucks. Now, I'm not here to sell PMI. I'm here to be the voice of reason. If you guys really want to go the distance, I want to challenge you to sign up to be a member, because you get access to a plethora of webinars. Webinars, live webinars, on-demand webinars. Jackie, take a look. Earning PDUs. You get that for free.
So all those webinars are PDUs?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
All those webinars
Exactly.
are PDUs. So I get a lot of PMP saying, oh, Phil, I need PDUs. And they're going to spend thousands of dollars with some organization. I'm like, why don't you just become a member for a year, and you can attend even live webinars, live. I mean, you got all these professionals sharing all this knowledge. See how emotions can affect your success as a project manager. Isn't that priceless? Have you ever been mad as a project manager?
No.
Have you ever walked out of a job as a project manager? Have you ever regretted something crazy you did as a project manager? I'll put up my two legs in addition, because I have. I've walked out of a job and handed in my badge, not even to the head honcho, to the reception. I've had it. I've had enough. I can't cope. So that would have kept me in check, you see? So things like this will help you. So that would be my 2 cents. If you really mean business to become a PMP, sign up to become a member of the PMI. You're going to get the free PMBOK guide, exam's going to be cheaper, and then you're going to be able to hear from a number of professionals. You're going to hear from people in oil and gas, industrial, insurance. You're going to hear academia. You'll hear from people that have been down that road. So if I were you, our friends in Equatorial Guinea, seriously, you know, the PMP footprint is worldwide.
Yep.
It's all around the world. So I get people from Nigeria, from Ghana, from South Africa, all around the world, Saudi Arabia. I got a number of students in India. So this is the place to be. This is the right organization, seriously. No other organization does it like the PMI. And I'm not here to sell them. I don't get anything from them. But I can tell you as a professional, you want to be in the thick of it. And you want to be able to add value to your colleagues that are around you by pointing them in this direction. All right. I'll get off my soapbox, Sandra. What's next?
Well, that was how long does the PMI certification last? The PMI certification lasts for 3 years. You take the test once, you pass it, you're done. You do not have to take the test again unless you choose you're really bored and you want to do it for fun and spend money and do it again. We do have to do the PDUs. You need 60 credits over 3 years. It seems like a lot. It's really not that bad, especially if you look here. You can get up to 28 PDUs just for looking at seminars. Free through here, so that's fabulous. Another way that you can do it is within your organization. You'll be amazed if you start looking around and asking how many other PMs are out there. There's probably a group of PMs somewhere, and there's somebody that wants to maybe organize the PMs within their organization. If you can start pulling them together and lead, like a lunch and learn.
Yeah.
You can lead a lunch and learn on schedule management. You can get PDUs just for doing that and teaching it to other people. So for doing your job, you get additional PDUs. It's really not too difficult. You can come back to SHPE next year and teach the class
There you go.
and get PDUs.
Yeah.
So the test is the hardest part. Remaining certified is easy. All of you have an interest in doing this, or you wouldn't be here. You're going to continue to do it with your job. It's almost going to be second nature to get those PDUs. Okay, so that was how long, let's see, how long should I prepare for the exam is 2 different questions. And one question said, I have a friend that studied for more than a year and failed the test twice.
Wow.
And that's just really heartbreaking. The test is difficult, I will say that. I'm a person that does very well academically. I always got A's for the most part. The first time I got a C in college, I actually cried. And the first time I took a quiz for the PMP, I got maybe 55%, and I almost cried. Because it's like, how can it be this hard? The first time you take it, it's going to be hard. The first time you do the quizzes, it's going to be very difficult until you understand the language and what they're doing. How long to study? It kind of depends on how much time you have to study. I took the class in November. I took the exam in February. I could have taken it a little sooner. I chose not to because I didn't want to be studying through the holidays. I wanted to have some family time and knock back my studying a little bit. But my recommendation would be is once you come out of this class, it's fresh in your mind, jump in and keep studying, start getting a methodology of what's going to work for you, and then figure out when you can take the exam. And then the course that Phil's offering you guys this year, wow, that would have been really helpful as well. The online stuff is great. You can do it at your leisure. Figure out what it takes. Our material had quizzes at the end of each chapter, which was really helpful, understanding what you do know and which ones you have to go back and review a little bit. Everybody's different. For me, contract types was something that I had to focus on because I don't spend a lot of time in the contracting areas. And so what type of contract is better? Where does the risk lie with the buyer or seller? That was new to me. I spent a lot of time on that. Some of you deal with that every day and you're like, how can you not know that? It's like, because I never dealt with it. You do take the test, and if unfortunate happens and you don't pass, you can take it again and you don't have to pay the full $405. It is a reduced price.
That's a good point. Because, I was saying that's a good point because actually, if you're a member of the PMI, it costs less for the retakes. It costs like $275 versus $325 or something like that. So you want to be a member either way, you know, better bang for your buck.
What is the hardest part of the exam?
Hard is relative, isn't it?
It is.
Like you heard what she said, the procurement aspect, she spent a lot of time. Other people are like, oh, I already know contract types. There's someone like Anthony who's been a COR in that world. You probably are familiar with contract types more than someone else who has, you know, little experience. So for that person without experience, that might be hard. For some people, they find the human resources area very difficult. Other people find the math. You obviously did not find the math one bit difficult, did you?
No.
So what was your biggest challenge, would you say?
I think what I found hard was, first of all, to mentally prepare for a 4-hour exam. It's a long time to sit. 200 questions doesn't seem like that much, but it's a lot. They're worded, it's not as if, you know, true or false, blah. No, there's a lot of big paragraph questions. You have to understand what exactly are they asking, what's the best answer. So just being prepared for the exam was hard for me. And then on the exam, it was hard for me to remember that it's okay, I can skip this question and come back. I taught myself with that doing practice exams. So when I walked into the real exam, it was good. The other thing about the exam, as I drop a paper, is you're in a room, and each exam station, thank you, is a little bit different. But you come into a room that might be kind of like this with some dividers between people. The chairs are somewhat like this, so that's a little bit uncomfortable. You cannot bring things in with you. So there's nothing there familiar, comfortable. They give you headphones to wear just to block out the noise. Those were a little bit distracting at times. It's like, I'm used to hearing protection, but these just didn't fit right, and it was a little bit distractions like that. And then if you need to leave and you come back in, there's a search process. So it's like going through the airport, only worse. They want to make sure that you're not cheating, that you're not capturing the answers. I mean, they take it very seriously. So that was weird being in like a sterile environment, and mentally it was a little bit unnerving. The other hardest part about this exam was I'm paying a lot of money, and if I fail, I'm going to feel horrible. But mentally you prepare, you get up to it, and I ended up knocking it out of the park.
And I might add that on the exam, when she says knocking it out of the park, we're talking about the best possible set of grades. Because on the exam, you got 5 domains. We're going to take you guys through the 5 domains. But they give you the option of getting either below target. Actually, let me start from the worst. Needs improvement, so you could do the planning domain, and you could have needs improvement. That is, you really, really need help. Next one is below target. That one is you fell below average. Next one is target, and the final one is above target. She got 5 above targets. After coming for this conference, going away to prepare with a busy job, I was able to get on the horse and kill it. So she's definitely the poster child for preparing for and killing, as I call it killing the exam, like choke the exam, the life out of the exam. Before he chokes the life out of you, someone says, Phil, it sounds a bit violent. Do you have anger issues, Phil? No. The exam, trust me, by the time you go through studying for the exam, you will want to choke the life out of the exam. Because what it will do to you, what does it do to you, son? Just tell us. One sentence, what it does to you.
It invades your sleep. Mm-hmm. You start dreaming about processes or workflows, and work performance data comes in, and then it comes out as work performance information, and then it goes over into this process and becomes a work performance report. It's amazing. It just kind of takes over your life. Every free minute you're studying, you've got flashcards on your phone, or 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. I listen to Phil audio in my vehicle driving to and from work. And so that was one thing that was really strange, is after the exam, I took the class in November, I took the exam in February. After I took the exam and passed, I no longer listened to Phil's audio in the vehicle, and I could actually listen to the music again. And all of a sudden, it's like, I miss Phil. I mean, he'd been part of my day for months, and then he was gone. So that was really strange.
Oh dear, and I'm working on that. I'm working on some more PDU kind of stuff that people will be able to listen to, and but she really did put in a lot of time and effort, because I've had so many people come through this. Very few of them actually eventually get certified, because it's like, I have a job. I'm like, well, Sandra has a job, and a number of other people. James Neri, I don't know if he'll show up here, but he usually does visit. He has a job, and he got certified as well. But anyway, what's next?
How helpful is PMP certification to a product manager in technology?
Take that one, please.
Invaluable. So when I got certified, I was a functional manager. I wasn't a PM, but I was a functional manager within development. So not only am I managing my people, but I'm helping my people and my team work through projects and navigate through projects. And yeah, we had PMs that are managing our projects, but there's different levels of PM. Not all of them were PMP certified. James was fabulous, but some of the others were newer. And so I was able to help guide my team as well through the process to set them up for success and set up the project for success. I'm currently working in operations, and someone says, oh, PMs in operations? Heck yeah. The difference is we don't have the 2-year projects that we had in development. We have these continuous improvement projects that we've got to get done, and sometimes you're dealing with multiple projects at once. I've got a lot of opportunities to fix this, and this. Where do you start? With the PM skill set that you get, you can kind of scope out the project, understand what it's going to take, what resources, and then you can make some really good decisions which one to handle first, how to prioritize things, or if you have enough resources to do them all at once. So not only is it good for PMs, it's also good for those professionals. It shows that you have a skill that other people don't have. It takes a lot of time to get certified. It takes a lot of effort and commitment to get certified. But once you can say PMP certified on your resume, nobody can ever take that away from you. And that puts you above and beyond a bunch of other people. So if I'm sitting here looking at a resume and this person wants to be an engineering manager and they've done this, and they've got a great resume and a lot of experience, and this person has a lot of experience and a great resume, maybe not quite as many years as this person, but they're PMP certified, this person's probably going to win. One of the key things about PMPs is communication. Now, what job doesn't require good communication skills? Right? So PMP certification for tech, definitely worth its weight in gold.
Thank you, Sandra. Fantastic. Carlos has a question, follow-on question?
Sorry, yeah,
Sure.
that was my question. So I'm really just trying to distinguish between like product and project, like PM differences, and like one's internal versus external.
Good question. So the question is the difference between a product manager and a project manager. Sometimes it depends on the firm and their definition.
Mm-hmm. I asked tech, and I was like referring to like tech, like as in Google, Facebook, Silicon Valley kind of tech.
Okay. Do you want to take that more?
Yeah,
from a
I'll
software
just give you a
standpoint?
little inkling into it. So, being a product manager has its own certification, but there's a lot of overlap. In fact, we had someone from SHPE who's a product manager come in 2010. He came for the conference and he was saying, oh, there's a lot of similarities between these, and he was bringing them out. The product life cycle far outlives the project life cycle. A project life cycle ends when you have delivered that final deliverable to the client, but the afterlife, the improvement, the sustainability of whatever you've delivered, that far outlives the project. So you're more concerned with an overarching product life cycle, and how you optimize products and how you work on the longevity of the product. It's a kind of a little bit of different thinking than the PM. The PM thinks within the realms of the project. The product manager thinks far outside of that and seeks to continuously optimize that product and bring back different, I should say, life times of the product, different improvements and versions. And the product life cycle is wider. The project life cycle is a piece of the product life cycle. So you could have many different project life cycles in a big product life cycle. And the project manager comes and goes. The product manager is there for the full length of the product, thinking. Is that your understanding of how it works?
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. The last question is, can you focus on one subject or process? For the exam. So during the exam is across everything.
So, like, I guess if, in your head you have, okay, I'm just going to focus on the integration process or communication.
Oh, you mean like a la carte, like pick and choose? Oh dear. Wouldn't that be nice?
No, the exam is set up really random. It's not as if the first 10 questions are going to be initiation and the next. It's really random, and so if you wanted to try and get, like, hey, I want to consider all the closing processes first, you can scan through all the questions and pick out the ones you know, and then go back and scan through the next set of questions. It takes time, and yeah, so it's not set up nice and neat. It would be really nice because it mentally, it helps saying, okay, right now I'm in the executing phase and this is what I'm going to be doing. Your mind thinks about that. You think differently than if you're in the monitoring, controlling, or if you're in the planning. But that's that's an exam tip. When the question first comes along, where are you? And what are you doing? Because if you're closing, you might be doing something different than if you were planning. So that's kind of a trick, is think first and foremost, whether there are all these words on the page, where am I, and then what the question is. Yes?
Yeah, that would be really nice if PMI could let you a la carte just choose, oh, I just want to do integration. It would be cool. But here's the truth. you got no idea where you are in the spectrum of things. You're like, this is a question. That's all that comes into your head. Sometimes you can't even decipher where you are. You don't know if you're in cost, you don't know if you're in schedule. Like the real world of a PM is there's a problem. And it could be a problem that cuts across many different areas. However, you might be able to narrow down the domain it belongs to, which takes us to this discussion. I think, Sandra, we should probably touch on this. So let me bring up the slide so you can speak to it. But it will take us into the discussion of this right here, this thing right here. So can you speak to this, Sandra?
Sure. So if we think about PMP training, there are 49 processes involved with PMP. They'll put the processes in a matrix, and engineers love matrices. It's just nice and organized. So across the top of this matrix are your 5 process groups: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. One thing to remember is even though this is shown linearly, there can be repeat loops within this. So you obviously have to start with initiating, because otherwise you don't start. But you're planning, you're executing. That doesn't mean that you never go back to planning after executing. But across the top, you've got these 5 process groups. What did I miss, Phil?
Oh, no, you're on the money. Yeah. So the 5 process groups, I mean, there's a mnemonic. If you wanted to write it down, it's I prefer extra money cash. I mean, you don't want to check. It might bounce, right? And credit cards these days, it might be maxed out. So I prefer extra money cash.
Or if you live up north and you really like fresh fruit and the season is really short, I prefer eating mangoes chilled. The mnemonics do really help. And if neither of these work for you, find one that works for you. For the process groups, as well as for some knowledge areas that we'll hit next, the mnemonics do really help. It's like, where am I? Oh, yeah. What are those silly things?
The mnemonics, they really help. Yeah, mangoes or money, which one? Choose, choose between them. And then, Sandra, let's go a step further so if you can just touch on these to,
Sure.
at a high level, give people a sneak preview.
Now, this is the knowledge area. Of that matrix I was talking about, we had the groups up top. The knowledge areas go down along the bottom. So this is going to be the titles of all your rows in that matrix, and then that creates where your 49 processes are going to fit. You start with integration management, scope, schedule, cost, or budget, quality, resources, communications, risk, procurement, and stakeholders. Now, each group has different number of processes within them. If one only has one process, doesn't mean that it's any less important than other ones. And depending on the project, one aspect might be a little bit more important than another. If you're not buying anything, procurement might not fit your particular project. Communication always impacts every project. Risk management always impacts every project. Stakeholder management always impacts every project. Of course, you have to have quality, and then there's the trifecta of scope, schedule, and cost. Those all go together, happy little triangle for every project.
Very good. So we don't want to scare you or anything, but there's a matrix that exists that puts all of this stuff together, and we typically try to avoid showing it to you, but this is the matrix. Dun, dun, dun. The matrix of the 49 processes. We got the 5 process groups at the top, the 10 knowledge areas at the side, and the intersection points. But I don't want to scare you, so let me go back to the beginning, and we'll cover a few of the slides in between. But in this session, this is really what we want to do. We're going to talk about who is the PMI, what is the PMP exam. How many hours did I tell you the exam was? 4 hours. How many questions? And what kind of questions? Are they essay questions or what are they? Multiple choice. How many answers are right? Good. So you do not have choose all that apply and goofy stuff like that. So we're going to talk about how to get started with your application, study materials that exist on our course, the PMP exam content outline. If you're ever keen on knowing the grimy detail, because trust me, it gets into a lot of grime, the grimy details of the exam, you want to Google PMP exam content outline. I'm not even going to cover it in this session because it's grimy detail, but I know engineers, they relish grimy detail, right? They like the details. So you can go to Google and just type in PMP exam content outline and spend some minutes or an hour going through that stuff. Preparing for the exam as you study. We'll cover how to do that. Sandra has got some great tips in that regard. And then we kind of put this first, but we're also going to do this at the end, any Q&A. So one more time, are there any questions that came up? Because we would love to answer them.
Yeah, so in this slide about the requirements for the exam,
Uh-huh.
I know there's a part about the project management experience. I know you talked before how there's different ways to measure that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Sure. So there are two types of criteria. One is educational and one is professional. Under the professional bucket, you need to have, if you have a degree, you need to have 3 years at least of project management experience, and the number of hours, let me just show you that slide. The number of hours is 4,500 hours. So, whoops, there we go. You see that? So if you do have a degree, you need to have 4,500 hours within 3 years. So minimum of 3 years, within which at least 4,500 hours was spent leading and directing the project.
But I know you mentioned one time that it wasn't necessary that you have the title.
Oh, yes. So you don't necessarily have to be called project manager, but you're leading and directing project tasks. Let me give you an example. One of my students, she is a project manager, but she had a lot of experience doing her master's degree of helping a nonprofit. So it had nothing to do with her degree, but she was just keeping herself busy helping this nonprofit on projects, scholarship projects. So they worked with younger generation, trying to find scholarship placements for them. And that was a project she managed. And then she had this big old, kind of like what we do here. We have this big old dinner where there's an award. So that's what she managed. She wasn't called project manager in the organization, but she used that on her application. And she's now a PMP. She got certified. PMI accepted her application. You're not necessarily needed to be called project manager to manage a project. So what is a project? It's a short-term duration endeavor. Has a beginning, has an end, has a goal. Your backyard project to do the landscaping, it's a project. But a lot of people, they often think, oh, that's not project management. Yes, it is. So you don't have to be called a PM to have the experience. You just need to identify what constitutes a project, and then you can use that. Like SHPE, a lot of what you guys do here as volunteers, those are projects. Yes, Michael?
Well, it's just like each functional person, it's all about cross-functional business now. So in my industry, there's at least 7 different cross-functions. Each one has a verse or chapter to do in any given plan or project. So you look at that, in your function, you're managing that project. So
exactly.
Your job
Yes.
description, then that's 4,500 hours. It's like nothing.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So when you break it down, this is how you need to do the calculation in your head for those who are scared of the hours. You need to think about 40-hour work week, 40-hour work week times 52, right, every year. And then you can whittle that down by 10 or 20%. So multiply it by 0.8, and you get the number of hours you spend every year on whatever project. Multiply it by however many years there is. In fact, as we go along, I'll show you a spreadsheet, which was actually put together by someone in SHPE. She's not a PMP. But she put together a good spreadsheet. In fact, let me see if I can bring up that spreadsheet.
Pivot tables and
No. How do you pronounce this name? Maite. Maite. So I obviously don't know how to pronounce her name very well, but she did come up with this great, let me see if I can, yep, there it is. She was in our MGT training for SHIP in 2010, yes, 2010. So if you take a look at this sheet, let me open it up, if it will come up. She came up with this brilliant way of documenting experience and finding out how many hours you actually used on the different projects. I think it's having trouble downloading for some odd reason. Is it? Taking a while. It's just starting, yeah. Let's see. I think I got a message from. Did I get a message from? No. Okay. So it's having trouble downloading, but the bottom line is, just think about the number of years you worked on a project, 52 weeks or 40 hours across however many years, and before you know it, you've documented all that you need to. So
there is a handy spreadsheet that PMI has as part of your application for the exam, so that it'll kind of walk you through how you do it. You want to look at the 5 different process groups up top and say, hey, in executing I've done this, or initiating I've done that. What I did is I looked at all the different projects I had, put hours in there, and within development, there's a lot of key things that are proprietary. We don't want to talk to the public about even the name of our project, because you don't want the corporate spies to find out and someone else to come up to it first. I just called it Project A, Project B, Project C on my application, and that's perfectly acceptable because they understand that you're going to have to maybe modify it a little bit, genericize it a little bit. Anything that you put in there might be verified. So your application may be audited for truth. What I did is I had my actual hours with my real project name, and then I had a column that said this is what I called it for my application. And I gave that to my boss. So they ask for your boss's name when you do your application, and that way my boss would have the sheet in front of him saying, hey, did this person really do this on Project B for this many hours? My boss could pull up and say, yeah, Project B is, PLPS. Yes, that was true. And be able to relate it back to real world pretty quickly. I personally did not get audited.
I've gone through like 1 or 2 supervisor changes the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have to be your supervisor at the time?
It's your supervisor at the time, but let's say, for example, that you had some stuff from 2 and 3 years ago that today's supervisor doesn't know about. You can just let them know, or if those other people are still around, say, hey, this is what I was working on, let them know that this might be coming up. You can let your current supervisor know, well, if you need to talk about this, talk to Joe Smith and talk to Jane Doe. If those people aren't with the company anymore, maybe they've retired, your supervisor might have to take you on your word, but chances are you're working there, you're a person in good standing, so they're not going to really question what you've done.
very good. So that's the sheet that Maite created, and a lot of people have used this sheet to get PMP certified, a ton of people. So what we have here are the start and finish dates. If you plug that in, that will calculate the number of days. There's a formula, as you can see, D4 divided by 7, number of weeks, E4 times 40. So if you got this amount of weeks and you got 40 hours, and then how much time did you spend on each project? Well, that's 75% of your time, so you can multiply it by 0.75, and it gives you a number which you then further multiply by how much time was spent in initiating. 15%, 25% in planning. So you're just multiplying this number by however much time you spent in initiating, planning, executing, and then you end up getting the breakdown, and then you just need to type in 55 characters, not words, characters. So if you type in 555 characters, that's all PMI is looking for, and they want you to break it down by initiating, what did you do, planning, what did you do, executing, what did you do. But the summary to your question is you don't necessarily have to have been PM. You needed to have done project management related work. Now, I have had an application rejected by the PMI in the past, personally. It was in the world of Agile, by the way. And PMI said, yeah, just because you wrote test scripts or you wrote a use case does not constitute project management. That is more like the technical work that you're doing on the project, but the project manager is the person making sure the schedules are being obeyed, managing conflict and constraints, and so there's a difference between being an engineer, right, designing a product versus the management of the process. You get what I mean? So just keep that in mind. If you stay on the management piece, you'll be fine. And that's what Sandra and I are going to show you guys, what exactly constitutes the project management piece.
Is that in the material?
Yes, for today, yeah. So that first slide deck that I'm showing you, let me get rid of this. That first slide deck over here, this has got a lot of the details. We're trying not to overwhelm you by jumping straight into it. So are you guys ready for some deeper stuff now that will kind of put you in the hot seat? All right, so let's talk about these processes, because I think people would like to know more about the 49 processes. So we'll come back to these slides eventually, but Sandra, let's talk a little bit more about the knowledge areas, and then we'll talk about all of the processes, at a very high level. So
Sure.
we'll kind of go back and forth. So maybe you can start off with. Actually, let's start off with the bottom. Can you do the bottom first, the stakeholder, and we go up to the top?
Sure. So this knowledge area is a little bit how the PMBOK guide is organized. The integration management starts with chapter 4, so there's a chapter for each one of these areas. I'm going to start down here with stakeholder management. And you're managing their stakeholder engagement as well. So with a stakeholder, those are people that care about what's going on with your project. It might be the person that wants the deliverable. It might be the person paying for it. It might be a coworker because they want that to enable their project to go on. A key thing here is identify who are your stakeholders. Who are you dealing with? And so as we go into stakeholder management, the first thing we do is we identify them. And these will be processes later, but just thinking through it, somebody had once said, well, this is just kind of common sense. It can be common sense if you've done it before, but there's some good processes that you follow, and this puts a structure behind it. And most of us engineering type or technical people like structure and processes. So identify who they are, figure out what interests they have, figure out how you're going to communicate with them and keep them informed. Make sure they maintain engaged. Have you ever been in a meeting where you've got some higher management in the room and you're trying to present your project, you've been doing really well, and you're up there and you're talking, and somebody over there is kind of like, or maybe they're on their phone or they're on their laptop doing something else. They really don't seem to be engaged and interested in what you're presenting, and they're the reason you're there presenting. So it happens, and sometimes it's because they've got something else going on and there's really no way around it. And maybe they've got confidence in you and this is just a formality. Or maybe you don't have their interest. And maybe that's why they're not paying attention. And it's really important to understand the differences so that you can manage them, keep them engaged throughout the entire project.
Absolutely. So your stakeholders need to be engaged. The next one above this is procurement management. This has to do with managing contracts and procurement. So on every project, you're probably going to think, what do I need to buy from external to the firm? Z?
So I have a question about this stakeholder management.
Sure.
Do you have
Absolutely.
Yes.
So there's a lot of templates online in different places. Just give you a heads up, we're going to have a photo session in a few seconds. And that's one of our stakeholders. We want him to be happy so we can see the photos. So welcome, welcome. We're ready for you. Just shoot away and make sure you get our good sides, you know, when you... Oh dear. The mystery of the ship photos that no one ever sees. You know, I've been in 8 of these over the past 8 years, and I'm always looking for the photos. They always go missing. But procurement management will come after we get done with this. So let's go back to this. Z was asking for a template. I'm going to give you guys a link. And the link, who works for Hormel again? Okay, so there's a, I don't know, their competitor, Sigma Foods, you know? So I went to train them once, and they wanted templates like what Z is asking for. So I ended up creating a hot link. It has the words Sigma in it, but it's not for Six Sigma, it's for Sigma Foods. So whenever you go, they just think, oh, they are competitors. Okay, it's tinyurl.com. I use a lot of tiny. Oh, it's tiny.cc. I use a lot of tinies. tiny.cc/Sigma. And Jeremy, they had a PMO. They had a project management office. So the hot link is tiny.cc/Sigma PMO. Maybe we can change that to Hormel PMO so that people we won't lose them when we type in Sigma. But anyway, Z, this is the website. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention have got a plethora of templates and tools. And if you spent taxpayer money on it, why not use it, you know? So I tell people, go there, pilfer the place, rate it, and use it. So talking about stakeholder stuff, you've got a document here that they call stakeholder analysis. If you click on that, it opens up an Excel sheet. And I mean, the guys that put this together for my little research, the PMPs and anchored back into the world of the PMI, or PMBOK dogma. So this is their take on how they keep track of their stakeholder engagement, name, title, contact. How are you going to communicate? Now, these documents, these templates, they're very, very simple, but they're very hard to utilize. People find it hard to be disciplined in thinking, how are we going to communicate with each stakeholder? What communication vehicles are there? They're going to be email. So if you click on this drop down, they have options that you can choose from. Let's see. Oh, they only have one option. Okay. Well, you can actually build in a list and just click and select the list, email, face-to-face, phone, whatever it is. Their stake in the project, this is explained if you hover over it. It says, this column should be populated with information that describes stakeholder interest for the project. So what is in it for them? What is the stake? Comments and so on. And then you can add other fields. You don't have to stop here. You can add level of power, for example. What is your stakeholder's level of power? And I mean, keep this confidential, though, because you don't want a stakeholder that you've classified as, Phil has a low level of power. Phil gets hold of this document, you're going to be seeing some real power in the next meeting. So be careful. And then level of interest. Oh, so you think I'm not interested in the project? I'll show you. So you want to be careful how you use these kind of templates, because if people get hold of them, the wrong audience could be bad. So that is just one example of a template. We could go a step further and talk about all sorts, but I want to keep it simple. All right? So good question. Sandra and I, we want to cover this stuff and tackle them as they come up so we don't forget and so you don't forget. So thank you, Z. Very good contribution. Now, because of Z, you guys have a plethora of templates. So even if you left, like now, please don't leave. Even if you did, you still have got a plethora of stuff that you can use. There was a project manager that came for one of my classes online, and he said, Phil, I need templates. I gave him this. He is now a rock star in his company because he downloaded all the tools, got rid of the logo. Whoa, you're a genius. How did you do this overnight? CDC, you got to thank him.
This is funny because I've created so many of these already that's up here. It's just like...
Are you kidding? It's already been done, right? And legitimately, and I could show you one more. There's another one, if you're into the Medicaid and Medicare thing. It's still the tiny.cc/Sigma PMO, and I think if you put the number 1 in front of it, I think it goes somewhere. Yeah? Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. So if you put a number 1 in front of the Sigma PMO, make it PMO 1, CDC have got their own story, their own interpretation. And I tell you, these, just being able to access these, folks, because you never know the project that's going to throw the curveball. And the cool thing about this is it also has like an IT spin on it. So they have some of these documents from an IT perspective, like starting an IT project. So, I mean, if that's your world, you find that useful. Anyway, thank you, Z. See what you've done? You've added value to people. Okay. Next one here, procurement management. I was saying one of the things that you do in procurement is a make or buy analysis. So you want to do an analysis of what you need to purchase from outside the firm. And if you realize, yeah, we need to purchase widget X, widget Y, widget Z, then you're going to go ahead and that make or buy decision is then going to catalyze everything that happens after the bidder conference, the proposal selection, negotiations, and so on, till you ultimately award the contract. So that is really what we do here. What happens in risk?
Risk. A lot of things happen in risk. Now, this can be something where, maybe I want to look at if I have to buy something, maybe I want to consider suppliers that I have. I assess that by risk. Maybe that is part of how I choose my supplier. Risk could be what risks do I have in the project. I could have a schedule risk, depending on resource availability. I could have a technical risk. Maybe no one's ever done this before. We're exploring some new areas, and maybe I have to plan a little more time on my schedule because this is really risky. If it's something that we've done 10 times before or someone's done it 10 times before, the risk is pretty low. I can fast track that. So risk is something that we always consider when making a decision, especially within the medical device industry. A question comes up. My first question, anytime someone comes to me with a question like that, is, what's the patient risk? I mean, this is real life world. We're dealing with patients. What's the patient risk? Because that's going to determine what my course of action is going to be. If I have a patient risk, it's stop, fix right now. If the patient is okay and it's just a manufacturing risk, and I don't say that lightly because as an ops person, you care about the business side of things, but if it's just a manufacturing risk, an internal scrap risk, I deal with that much differently than if it's a patient risk. So in my world, risk is almost the number one thing of determines what are you gonna do, what decisions are you gonna make. And going into a project, you really need to understand where things are at.
I always just break it down to business, product, or process.
Sure.
So in business, so you get your internal, external customers, but those 3 areas we call risk.
Yep, that's a great way of breaking it down. Did everybody hear that?
Yeah. And when you come into the world of the PMI, you'll find out that we've got some peculiar classifications of risks, but you'll be able to marry it up with whatever bucket in your world it falls into. So risk, like Sandra said, is big, and going through this is going to help your thinking. Next one up here is communications. Someone says that the project manager spends 70 to 90% of his or her time communicating. Someone says, Phil, it's 90. Forget 70. This is my world all day long. So what you're doing in this process is you're planning. Who do I need to communicate with, why, and when? You're being more strategic in your communication. You're not just communicating by email. You're really looking at all the dimensions and saying, what should I do as far as communications is concerned? Now, little trivia for you. Professor Emeritus Albert Mehrabian came out with an experiment at UCLA. Have you heard of it? Have you heard of the 55%, 38%, 7% rule? So he did this experiment at UCLA. I won't go into all the details, but he got words, put them into a text, got people to read the words, put it through a synth, kind of distorted the words, but the tone of voice was there. And then he got people to dramatize and act out the words and act out the whole scenario. Anyway, long story short, he realized out of a face-to-face communication setting, a particular percent of the communication is perceived by the words, particular percent of the communication is perceived by the tone of voice, a particular percent of the communication is perceived by the body language. So, 55, 38, 7. Which percent do you think is body language? You're correct, 55. You guys are awesome. What percent is the words? The 7. You guessed right. You haven't introduced yourselves, folks. Right, Sandra? They haven't.
Yep, we've got 3 new people in class, actually.
Yes.
So we'll do some quick 4.
So let's do some communication 101. Do you want to introduce yourself, your name, company you work for, and what you're seeking to gain from this session?
Okay, I can start. My name is Laura Rodan. I work as a water engineer for Jacobs. And basically, I just want to get immersed in the PMP process. I'm doing a couple of things.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Awesome.
My name is Richard Sandoval. I work for Johnson Controls as manufacturing supervisor. Just want to have more structure go to moving on projects.
Woohoo! That's one of my favorite clients, actually. I got about 8, 9 of them certified. Which off Wisconsin or where?
I'm not in Portland.
Ah, cool. Well, good to meet you. All right. Welcome.
Hey, hello, everybody. My name is Andres Galvez. I work for Unilever. I'm a chemical engineer with the President Union.
Cool, cool. Are you looking to get certified at the end of it all?
Yes, I am.
Nice, nice. Hey, she's the poster child for how to do it.
I'm at the right place.
You're at the right place.
She was here like you last year in that position. Michael's
Sitting right
at. He's stolen the position and he's probably going to get certified in no time, channeling that spirit of get it done. But seriously, get her contacts and she'll help you to frame how to study and what to do, because she was here like you last year as a student. Now she's dropping gold as an instructor. That's how to do it. I call people like her a boss. She's a PMP boss. Boss is, you know, street for boss. So she is, she is a boss in her own right. But anyway, thanks for the introductions. So that's what communications is all about. And we have resource, of which you've got resources working with you.
I have resources working with me, and this is one difference between the 5th edition versus the new 6th edition. This used to be called human resource management, but there's more to resources than just people. So we have to remember that. As a manager, last year I had 14 direct reports, and for indirect labor and 8 direct labor working for me. People are very important. They're a great resource. They're an invaluable resource. But these resources might also be equipment. If you need to build something, you might need time on a production line in order to do your experiment. If you're writing special code and you need a certain server to compile it, you're going to have that resource available. You're building a vehicle and you're an exterior person, you need time in the wind tunnel to check your aerodynamics. You need that resource. So this is resource management, thinking about anything that you need to help your project succeed and at what time.
Thank you, Sandra. Quality management, good Lord, I would have just given that to you as a Six Sigma DFSS guru. So let me do my own little bit because, you know, even though I've worked at Honeywell and my boss tried to ram DMAIC down my throat, I never really got certified. But I think DMAIC is great. I'm not bashing it. I love it. Um, so in the world of the PMI, quality management has got three big things. One is planning. You got to plan the quality in. Don't just fly by the seat of your pants, but plan, says PMI. After you plan, which means you've identified the quality standards that you need to adhere to, you've identified the safety standards, whatever standards, quality from whatever perspective, PMI says then you manage. Have you ever heard prevention is better than cure? It's better to check the process than to check the product at the end. Because at the end, you realize the product is garbage. What could have caused that? Checking the process. So in this knowledge area, we don't just plan how to do it. We actually check the process. We call them quality audits. We want to have those regular checkpoints before you come out with your deliverable. And that happens in what we call quality control. So in control quality, when your deliverable comes into the process to be checked, you've already been checking the process. So you expect the product to align with the standards, right? And then oftentimes things happen, you find out that there's a problem, you take your quality measurement and you go back to quality assurance and say, what happened in the process? Why did this fail? Why is it different? And then you keep doing that until you get to the optimum product that passes the test in quality control, and that pretty much is the end of quality. From there, it becomes the customer's job to check the deliverable, but that happens further up. But in the world of quality and Six Sigma, how do you marry those in your real world and here?
Quality and Six Sigma. Quality comes first no matter what, but especially you start off with DMAIC and then you go for DFSS, design for Six Sigma. So as Phil said, you want to design quality in, you don't want to inspect quality in at the end. That's just, it's costly and it doesn't make any sense. If I'm baking cookies, I'm going to spend all the time mixing all my ingredients, I'm going to put them in the oven, invest all this time, and at the end I want a good tasting cookie, or cake, or pie, or pot roast, whatever you choose to want to eat. And it would be horrible if you spent, let's use prime rib. Hopefully, if you're a vegetarian, prime rib is a really expensive piece of meat that takes a lot of time and prep, and if you don't do it right, it's a lot of money and time wasted. So normally you buy your piece of prime rib to the tune of about $15 to $20 a pound. You do a rub, you let that sit overnight, and then the next day you put it in the oven and you cook it slowly for a certain amount of time. If you get to all the end of that and you look and your prime rib looks like shoes, that's probably a bad thing. So what I would want to do with that is I want to know, why is it shoes? Maybe my oven temperature spiked and it was too hot. If I'm cooking prime rib, I would want a thermocouple in my oven. I would want an in-process monitor of what my temperature should be, because if that's critical to my output, I want to know as soon as my oven's temperature starts to get a little hot, I want to be able to fix it before my prime rib is ruined.
And our next area is cost. So in the world of the PMI, this deals with three things, okay? You could look at some of the things Sandra has just talked about in quality and marry that to cost, because in order to check quality and implement quality and do all this great Six Sigma stuff, you're really looking to save money at the end of the day. You don't want to keep on doing the same thing and getting bad results. You want to do something different, get good results, spend less money. But cost management in the world of the PMI for projects is really all about planning, first of all, how are we going to manage cost? So Anthony, in your world, let me ask you this. So Army Corps of Engineers, in some projects, do they do earned value management? EVM? You see that being used sometimes?
I haven't seen that implemented on my end, but
Okay.
it's something that's taught to us.
You've heard about it, right? Being used on some of their projects. Good. So in your world, let me just let you know up front, this topic gives people a lot of nightmares because the formulas throw them for a loop, right? But can you speak to how you approach the formula aspect of control cost in your prep?
I had a formula cheat sheet, first and foremost, one sheet of paper that I memorized some key formulas I was able to regurgitate, so then when I got to the exam I could write it down. And in cost management, earned value, EV is king. And there's going to be, I believe, a little bit of a drawing later on in class about EV being king. And we look at it either with the work that's being done or our cost. So how's our schedule doing? How's our cost doing? You can look at it in terms of an index. And I think people understand indexes, you know, what's your actual compared to your planned. If your index is positive, that's a good thing. If it's negative, that's a bad thing. And if it's 1, you're spot on. You're right where you're planned to be. So those formulas are helpful. And if you understand what the little letters mean, then logically think through it, and it does make sense. It's not just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. The first time you see it, it's like, oh, I can't possibly remember all this. You look at it a couple times, or if we do the painting example where we're going to paint, we're going to paint a wall, that'll really kind of sink in.
So I wanted to show you guys what we call the gold card, the earned value gold card. I'm going to try to show you this. It's from the Defense Acquisition University. But I really wanted you guys to get an idea of the horrors that poor students face as they get ready for the exam. So are you ready? Don't run out, but... Oh, I forgot you're engineers. This is a small deal. Anyway, these are some of the formulas that exist in earned value, a topic that you guys will be learning more about as you prep. So the stuff isn't a cakewalk, but it is very applicable to real-world project management. Their formulas, their metrics, like she said, their concepts, and having a cheat sheet, making sure you understand what's on the sheet is very helpful. Some of these terms you see here, these are government terms. You know, government likes big. So these terms in the world of the PMI, they shorten them to like 2 letters. But on this gold card, which is from the Defense Acquisition University, you got the big old 4-letter acronym, which is really helpful, by the way, in really knowing earned value. But anyway, that is, I'm getting some frowns, so Sandra, I think I'd better quickly get rid of this before we get in trouble. So let's go back to our simple slide. So the next one here is schedule management. How many of you guys use Primavera? Anyone? One person? I think you were the only oh, 2, thank goodness. You were the only person last time, but now they're 2, good. What about Microsoft Project? Good. So at Jacobs, they use, is that their tool of choice at Jacobs? Any other one?
Yeah, Excel.
Excel, well, Excel always works. Yeah, that's a catch-all. So schedule management deals with the science and the art, if you will, behind managing a schedule. So in the world of the PMI, there are 6 things that you need to do as you're putting your schedule together. First thing is think about, how do I even schedule? What should I use? Should I use Primavera? Should I use Microsoft Project? Like he said, should I use Excel? Should I use a notepad? That's the first thing. How am I going to do it? Who am I going to involve? Then the second thing is to actually begin listing out your tasks. What is task 1? What is task 2? What is task 3? We call that defining the activities. Then you're going to have to put them in order. You're going to use some sort of science to link them. Then you're going to ask the question, how long will it take? And in doing that, you need to ask the area that she covered, resources, who do we have available? Because your project's duration could be affected by the resources, right? So there's a relationship between scheduling and resource management. And then ultimately, you're going to put together a schedule and go to management and say, what do you think? Is it good? Approval. We call that the schedule baseline. Do you guys use that term? Schedule baseline? So you fix the baseline, and then after that, you control the schedule. And what have you found in your experience of scheduling at Medtronic?
Scheduling is really important. We do set up in the development world where we have a project that's going to last between 2 and 3 years. The PM starts out, and here's their schedule baseline. It's going to take me 2.5 years. I'm going to need X number of people at these amounts of times, and we plan by quarter. And then we ask for direct expense as well, whether that might be some hourly labor, it might be some materials or some other miscellaneous things. Here's what we do. Now we've plotted our baseline. Every time we go in for a phase review, we're measured. How are you doing compared to baseline? Have you met your deliverables? But then one group weekly will sit there and say, where are you? Are you on schedule? Are you on task? So how you plan your schedule, we talked about risk before. If you have something that might be a highly risky area, you might want to have a little more time in your schedule. Ultimately, be careful on how you present your schedule and know your stakeholders. If you went in and said, hey, I think I can get this done and the best case scenario is 2 months. So when the boss says, how often can you get it done? I can get it done in 2 months with 4 people. Well, I would say, okay, I think I can get it done in 2 months. I know I'm going to have 4 people, but there might be something else going on. So I'm going to say I need 5.5 months. So I go to the boss and say, I need 5.5 months and 4 people. And the boss is like, I don't know about 5.5 months. Can you make it 5? Sure, I can make it 5. If I deliver in 4.5, I'm a rock star. If I walked in and said, I'm going to deliver in 4 months and I deliver in 4.5, I'm in trouble. And I had the same deliverable on the same time. So the scheduling, I mean, when you're doing a short project, it seems a little bit simple. When you're doing a longer project, the baseline is really important. And we'll get into change management later and change control. But if you have to change from what your original plan is, there's a process to understand that, get agreement, and understand the impact.
That's where the risk, like you said, because if there's some resource that you know that's potentially not going to be available, I always identify it right up front.
Exactly.
That there may be contingency based on this risk.
Right.
So what happened when they ask you for input about the schedule they created, and you tell them, like you say, 6 months, but they put it in the schedule 2 months, and you know that's impossible, and you give them the reason why it's impossible, but they still don't listen, and they still happen in 6 months.
The question is, what happens when you say it's going to be 6 months and they'll tell you, no, you're going to get 2 months, and they put that in the system? That's really a challenging situation. What I would do is right up front say, okay, I suggest 6 months is ample for this reasons because, and list my reasons. However, I'm being asked to deliver it in 2 months, so here are my trade-offs. And then get their buy-in on trade-offs, because maybe what I wanted to do is I wanted to do some extensive testing, maybe some accelerated testing where it takes me 4 or 5 months to get the results back, and give me 2 months, month and a half to get the design, and then we put it on test. So I've got an idea. Well, if you're not going to give me 5 months, 6 months, I can't do that test. So I'll get you the design in 2 months, but it's not going to be as well tested as if I had 6.
Absolutely. And the key word is trade-offs. That's why it's called project management professional. In the world of the PMI, there is a document, and I'm going to show it to you right now because I don't want to forget. It's called the PMI Code of Ethics. And if you do a quick Google search for PMI Code of Ethics, and I'll show you over here, move it across. You just Google PMI Code of Ethics, and you see that there's a PDF down here, Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. And you realize, when it comes up, that there are 4 overarching pillars for this code of conduct. I want to show you one of them that governs what she said. Honesty. As a project manager, the PMI take it very seriously when you're a PMP that you need to be honest. And if someone says, oh, I know it's 3 months, but I'm going to say it's 2. You're violating this clause right here. You see this? This is honesty. And PMI, they say, we earnestly seek to understand the truth. The truth is it can't take 4 months. It's going to be 4.5. We are truthful in our communications and our conduct. Part of being truthful is being truthful in your schedules. You got to tell the truth. We provide accurate information in a timely manner. So we are looking for accuracy. You have to be accurate. And you have to do it in a timely manner. So my suggestion to anyone looking to become a PMP is to read the Code of Ethics and be totally aware of this clause of honesty. We have other things here. We have respect, fairness, responsibility. But I really want to hone in on this piece of honesty. So, yes, sir.
So I'm a huge fan of under-promising and over-delivering, but is you consider that honest? Like what you mentioned, where you know that
Is
So
it,
you have, I guess,
right, is it honest? Yes, if I can defend why I want 6 months. And I can sit there and say, well, if I just asked for 6 and I agreed to 5.5, you know, okay, I'm gonna give up this, make it very clear that I'm giving up 2 weeks of buffer. I put this extra buffer in because I think there might be a risk of a resource availability. Or I think we might find an unexpected technical issue popping up that I wanted time to deal with. And I'll sit there and say, yeah, okay, I can do it in 5.5. You know, if you want me to do it in 4, okay, but here's what I'm gonna do, here's what I might deliver. Give me the opportunity to say, I might need change control because if I have a late breaking technical issue, I'm gonna need more time to address it. Whereas my first quote of time gave me that extra buffer.
There you go. It's really all about knowing I'm the professional and I don't want to under-deliver and over-promise because then the egg comes back in one's face and then on subsequent projects the joke becomes, Phil, are you sure? Because remember last time you said, and that's not the impression we want, you know. In the world of the PMI, we have a tool and technique called reserve analysis. It is totally legitimate to put a reserve aside in terms of schedule and cost as a project manager and resources, you know. So the key word is trade-offs. Trade-offs. A lot of PMs, they're wimps. They're like, oh, I don't want management to be mad at me. They'll be mad at you at the end if you don't tell the truth now. You better come clean, project manager. A lot of PMs, unfortunately, they look at senior management like they're some gods. No, they're not. They'll love you more if you tell the truth because their job's at stake if you mess up. So it's always good to come clean, push back, you know. I like a quote from Steve Jobs. He says, why join the Navy when you can be a pirate? So you're a pirate as a PMP. You got to challenge the status quo. You got to challenge the status quo. And that's how you get ahead in your career, not by being the little Mickey Mouse under the desk, you know, or goofy. You got to boss up, you know. You're the professional.
So yes, just to add on to what Sandra was saying, I've been in those situations where you come in with your schedule, right, and you're always going to be put up for a 10, 20% reduction. And so really this is where experience is of paramount importance, primarily because you need to have all the quantifiable backup data
There you go.
constitute
Yes.
what the actual time frame
There
is.
you go.
And there's going to be meetings after meetings. Ultimately, this is where you capture your risk, right?
Yep.
And so that's how essentially you ultimately come up to a what do you call it, a consensus,
Right.
as far as the timeline.
There you go.
So it'll be a trade-off.
Absolutely. Thanks for that contribution. And that's what being a PMP is going to afford you, because when you now know all of this stuff, you're going to have a deliberate, intentional method to control the madness. You're going to have all your ducks in a row. You're going to have your risk matrices. You're going to have your estimates. You're going to have your reserve analysis. It's all going to be done, and it will be a fool that would reject data that shows this cannot be done. It will be an idiot that would say, no, we can still do it with brute force. No. So you as the professional, you educate people as to why or why not, you know.
There could be a point where the trade-off is then a detrimental risk that's just going to, I mean, for pharmaceuticals, especially where I was at radiopharmaceuticals, there was no trade-off. I mean, this is what was planned, and they want to shortcut you. You're like, okay, now your risk is just triple, and that's impact the patient. So I'm like, I'm not signing off on that.
And you see, the thing is, with occurrences like that, when it is proven that you knew what you were speaking about in the beginning, like you're saying, have all your ducks in a row, next time they'll listen. You know, it might take one or two botched events, but they'll listen eventually. So who asked the question in the very beginning about trade-offs? Who asked that question? Huh? It was a very good question. Was it you? Okay. Well, I hope you got value from that little discussion we had. Aldo, I've got a question for you because in the beginning, you mentioned scoping out. So I was curious, How do you do that on your projects? Because now we're in scope. So how do you do that?
For my projects, for the budget that I sort of manage, so they're driven by conflict with third-party construction. So,
Okay.
for example, you have gas line in the road. ODOT wants to do a whole reconstruction of the road, and
Okay.
our main line is sort of in the way. We kind of evaluate their design and say, oh well, if they go through with it, our main line is going to be impacted.
Okay.
And really, my involvement in the scoping of those is if we have other main line in the area that we want to replace because of its condition, it might be at risk of failing. I scope that in along with the relocation of the main line that's in conflict.
Gotcha.
And so, and then that's really how it's initiated. But then I go through and create estimates.
Okay.
High-level designs.
Good. Good. So you're looking at the constraints and any assumptions about what's in the area and what could affect what you're doing.
Right. Yeah. Except when it comes to like scheduling, we really don't have like the scheduling isn't necessarily up to us because really when they're coming in with an ODOT gives us their designs, they also give us when they're planning on scheduling. So it really does give us a deadline date of what we have to.
So you get a deadline date and you got to work it in ultimately. That could be a toughie, yeah. So when that happens, we're limited in our trade-offs, but we still have trade-offs.
Well, there are times when they say like, hey, we're coming here and we're reconstructing the road in late, 2018. They might tell us this in June, and there's all this mainland that may be really high risk that we want to get out of there. And so we actually might go back to them and say, hey, you can do that, but we don't have enough time to get this mainland out of here. We can't be tearing up your roads after after your time is
Yeah.
like that. So you guys can either push it back a year, and we can actually get in there, replace it, or you guys can do it, and we may be tearing up your roads.
There you go. Still trade-offs. Good, good. Still trade-offs. Awesome. So when you do scope, you need to think in that direction of trade-offs. You got this big old scope. Here's your schedule milestone date for handover or deadline from customer. Can it be done, yes or no? If yes, proceed. If no, you need to scale back scope and maybe do a round 2 or a year 2 of the program. But if scope can be done, it can be done. One of the things to think about as you scope out projects, just know that sometimes the deliverable and the scope, you won't see a correlation at first. Let me give you an example, very easy example. The chicken sandwich. Someone says, I want a chicken sandwich. And then the project manager goes about scoping out and says, all right, when are we going to plan our trip to the Pacific Ocean? And the customer says, what are you talking about? You tell the customer, you said you wanted a chicken sandwich made from scratch. Don't you know that if you want salt in the sandwich, we're going to have to go to the Pacific to get some salt water to evaporate, to get salt, because you want everything from scratch. You don't want me to buy salt from Walmart. You want me to make salt. You want me to get the chicken from scratch, kill the chicken, so I can't just use a chicken off the shelf. Do you get what I'm saying? Based on what the customer wants, you may find yourself having to do some outlandish things, like growing a vegetable patch. Now that sounds extreme, but a lot of times on our projects, we don't catch all the work that needs to be done because we haven't effectively scoped it out based on the requirements. So, yeah, so if you say you want a whole bunch of requirements, scope could change. Do you get what I'm saying? So the scope of the project is not just product requirements, it's the work that you need to do to achieve what you're looking to do. Closer home, where's my iPhone 4S? Well, if I was to strip it of this box around it, you would really admire what Steve Jobs and his team did in getting those rounded edges, because before this, phones were just those miserable old flip phones, maybe a BlackBerry at best, but they went above and beyond to get those rounded edges and to get that gunmetal finish. They went really far. That's part of the scope. The trip that people had to make to go look for a firm that could give them that finish, to get it cheap. So of course, it wasn't done in America if you didn't know. But anyway, long story short is, based on the requirements to get this phone looking in a particular way, scope obviously was beyond the normal flip phone scope. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this. So Scope is driven by the requirements. Scope is what you need to do to get that deliverable in hand with the customer. Okay, Sandra, we got the final one in. Oh,
one more comment.
How do you manage that part? Because those, like in the software industry, they keep changing every day.
good question. Yes.
So, agile, the sprints, you got
Very good question. Very good question. Yes.
You're in the middle of the sprint, trying to deliver.
Yes.
Trying to do a demo.
I wish you could speak into the microphone so that we could. Thank you, Sandra. So yeah, because his question is a very good question. I want people on the phone to listen to. So.
Okay. The question is, how did you manage the change of those requirements once you start, right? So you scoped out certain requirements. You're working on an agile environment, Scrum, trying to deliver every 2 weeks. You're trying to deliver working software.
Yeah.
You're trying to demo it. And in the middle of that whole 2 weeks, your requirement starts deviating from what it was. It starts changing. So that constant change, how do you manage it within this?
Very good question. Thank you. So this is where you need to put on your PMP thinking cap. It's called Project Management Professional. It's not called Waterfall Lifecycle Professional. It's called Project Management Professional. And that means as a project management professional, you know the cycle of life that fits the project best. So if you're in a very agile environment, or we call it change-driven environment, you got to use a change-driven approach to manage the project best. Don't be trying to use waterfall to manage a change-driven environment. And that's why I tell people who are one-trick ponies, they're always about, we got to scope everything out 3 months before. I'm like, well, what happens if you're in this kind of environment? You need to know about agile. And that's why coming in to take the PMP is good, because you begin to learn there is such a thing called agile project management. There's such a thing called agile thinking. And if you're thinking agile, you know you're in a volatile market. Things could change like today. And the only way to get around that is to use an agile approach to managing your project. Scrum, how many of you guys have heard of Scrum? A lot of you. So Scrum, it shouldn't be, oh, I just do Scrum. No, it should be, that's part of my approach to managing projects. I'm a project management professional. I know what my project requires. This one requires a Scrum approach. This one, I'm going to use Kanban. This Kanban would fit this perfectly. This one, I'm going to use a waterfall approach. So you need to know what to use on each project. Like you're talking about this volatile change, you don't manage that using a big old, So all this stuff we're talking about is not tailored to just waterfall. In your thinking, you should be capturing all of these items, you see. Even if you're in the world of agile, you should be thinking about all of these pieces. So this is more like a checklist, but it's not a one-trick pony method.
So, one thing that I've used early in my career is when I had a, heated debate with one of my colleagues that I ended up using throughout my career is, we're all in regulated industries. So there's going to be some kind of ISO, there's going to be some kind of IEC, there's going to be something, right? So I look at it as what are the minimum requirements for that registration and that certification, but it becomes the must, will, shall, right? It's not the should, could, or may.
Right.
So each law, each requirement is going to be the minimum, is the must, will, shall. So if you have to hit those, there's no giving on that, right? If it's required by law or by a country, then you can't miss the minimum requirements, and then it's what is beyond that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a project management professional, you just need to know what to tailor each approach, or how to tailor each approach to each unique project. So thinking in an agile way is not going to fit. For example, you're in construction. There are parts of construction you might get away, like the kitting of the building and kitting it up. You might get away using something a bit more change-driven, but for the most part, you got to be very, very deliberate and intentional and fully plan-driven in your approach. But if you're in software and You're trying to be first to market, and technology is changing rapidly by the minute. People around you, the Amazons of this world, they're now your foe. You thought they were your friend, but no, you're now, like people like Google, they've now got people like Amazon they need to be thinking of. And the chain goes on. You can't just think fully plan driven. You've got to be thinking, what are they going to do next? And beat them to market. Beat them to the technology, to the idea. So this is not just fully plan driven. And I'm glad you asked the question, because a lot of people, they see this as being, oh, it's fully plan driven. No. If you go to the PMBOK guide, they have a section in each chapter which I call the CTTCs, concepts. What are the new concepts in stakeholder management? Trends. What are the trends? And how do you tailor this to each project? And the last one there, C, is consideration for agile. You see that? Concepts, trends, tailoring, and consideration for agile in all of these. You see? So you got to think about what works best for the project, not just, don't bucket yourself into one approach. You got to be universal in your approach. All right. So you see how long it took us to talk about the 10? Took us a while. Now you guys look like you need a break. Am I right? Do they need a break, Sandra?
They need a break, but we didn't do integration management.
Oh, of course. That wraps everything up. Let's do that. Sorry, no break yet.
No
Let's
break.
integrate. Let's integrate.
We'll do integrate management, and then we'll go to break. How's that sound? Get rid of some coffee, maybe get some more coffee. Okay, so integration management is the top level, the first process we talk about in chapter 4, and it's just like what it is. It's integration. It's bringing everything together. It's the first process that we start with. I said before it was an iterative thing. Well, here's when we're planning the project charter. That's the first and foremost. As we go through the different groups, there's things that we're doing. There is a process in integration management, at least one process in every one of the 5 columns. So being a project manager, you have to think about, you're bringing in your communication. You need to understand what's going on. You're balancing, you're doing trade-offs. It's integration, bringing everything in. In integration management, we're also dealing with change control. So as changes happen, we need to deal with them as well.
Cool. Thank you, Sandra, for making it painless. So we probably should go on break. Now, here's the caveat. If you go on break, you must come back, Because I know some people have decided not to come back. So, will you come back? Yes. If the answer is no, then don't go for break. So, my family at the back, how you guys doing? Now we've got a face to the name and the rest of the family. So, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Adrian Herrera. I work with the Air Force. I do system engineering and nuclear engineering. And I'm very interested in the course.
Awesome, awesome.
I do have a little family. She's also an engineer, Diana Obadia. I don't know if she introduced herself.
I introduced myself on the phone, so whoever was here earlier when we started, I'm Diana Obadia, an industrial engineer that worked in defense and did a lot of project scheduling for the Navy.
Lovely.
We also worked in the U.S. Department of Commerce with the Patent and Trademark Office.
Nice.
So, yeah, we did a little bit of law school and stuff like that. So, it's very tough with the baby. Yeah, we got kicked out of the other room. I know we're not.
Oh, okay.
But we're like, what have we done?
No, it's great to see you. And our PMP, the youngest PMP to be is.
Her name's KK. Kobe Kai, but she goes with us all the conferences.
Lovely.
It's tough because SHIP doesn't have the childcare. But
we're going to force it.
yeah, we're actually fighting with SHIP to because it's very tough for the professionals like us.
Yeah.
Young families.
Yeah.
We're here.
Well, thank you, Adrian. Good to meet you. And the U.S. Air Force is one of my favorite clients, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Been out to Mildenhall in the past, out in Europe, and I've got people from there that went through the course and are PMPs. So hopefully we'll be able to get you to that point as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry for being distracted.
Oh, no, no,
Oh,
no,
no
no, no.
worries.
Very good. I mean, SHIP, we're all one family here, so thank you very much. And yeah, I hope you're going to come back. So it's now 20 minutes past the hour. If you come back in the next 10 minutes at 5:30, Sandra and I will be able to round up what we have. We'll give you guys ample time because I know lots of us are targeting the lunch, right? So there's some lunch going on, just in case you didn't know. Gabrielle's got lunch going on in one of the rooms there. So does anyone know what time that is, the lunch break?
Noon.
12. So Sandra and I will give you ample time to walk over there, get your lunch box, and we'll be resuming this at 1. So you got a break from 12 to 1. So please come back so we can round up and so that we can actually address the exam details. So we'll see you at 5:30. Thank you. We'll see you at 5:30 the hour.
better because you're talking right.
Can hear both of us. He says they're kind of hearing the audio in the room, but they're not hearing us specifically.
They're not hearing the speakers. Okay,
Yeah.
so do we want both of us to be jacked up a little bit on the board?
I think, and yeah, we probably should converge
Okay.
a little bit more here and project. So.
So then that'll be this one right here. We
Yeah,
go
that
up just a
one.
little bit more.
There you
All
go.
right.
And then maybe a bit more projection. All right, guys, welcome back.
Uh-oh.
Probably wasn't a good idea. All right, we'll just converge here. That will be our that will be our fallback plan.
Let's see if this will still work without feedback. Okay, good.
Okay, good. So welcome back, folks. So we're on the big run-up to finish and conclude this. In order to do that, we're going to share our slides again with you. Let me go over here. I can hear the room it's kind of a bit hot. I'll go tweak it. But let's talk a little bit about the exam itself, okay? Felipe has gone. He had a version of the PMP guide, an old one, and that's what I wanted to highlight to you. There's two versions that are currently floating around in the market space, but you want to be careful because the 6th edition is what you want, 6. Don't use any edition if it's not the 6th edition. Okay? It's a large part of the exam, and it really should be read. You really do want to make sure you read the 6th edition. Regarding the syllabus on the exam, like the question was asked, can you focus on a particular area? You can't. You don't know which area they're giving you in a question. You can maybe guess a little bit, but sometimes it's hard. But the exam is going to be broken out into these areas: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. 13% of the exam is initiating, 24 is planning, 31 executing, the biggest. Monitoring and controlling is 25%, and closing is 7%. How do you get all this stuff down? Mental exercise. So Anthony has run away. This is from the Army Corps of Engineers in Arkansas. This is from Pepperdine University. These guys are PMPs now. So you get there by a lot of mental exercise. The PMP exam is 200 multiple choice questions. There are 25 pre-test questions which do not count. Do you want to talk about those pre-test questions?
So the pre-test questions, you don't know which ones they are. But basically it's 25 that aren't going to be counted towards your final grade. They're just using that for additional information, maybe some additional material or some thoughts. So it's really only 175, not 200, but you answer 200 questions. So they don't organize it like here's the initiating questions, here's the monitoring and controlling questions. They also don't say here's the first 25 questions are pre-test. They're scattered throughout.
And therefore the score, which by the way, you do not know the passing score, let me tell you right now. A lot of people are like, what's the passing score on the exam? PMI doesn't tell you. What the PMI does tell you is, are you proficient in an area which is above target, below target, or below proficient? So let me show you that really quickly. For every area, you're going to be given a result like this. So this is the result from initiating, just one of the 5 domains. They'll show you for every one of the subsections in the domain, they'll show you if you are low in that sub-area, if you're medium, or if you're high. And they will overall show you if you passed this area with a target or above target. The 2 categories for passing are target and above target. The other 2 for below target and needs improvement, you don't pass the area if you get those. So of course you want to aspire to pass. And if possible, you want all of these to be high. Here's the one for planning, an example of, this is a mock-up one. But you can see this person got lows, 1 medium, 2 highs. It's possible that they may fail this area because they've gotten so many lows in these different questions. And when I say questions, I use that loosely because these are actually subsections of planning. So this could be developing a schedule, this could be managing a schedule, this could be identifying risk and things like that. Executing, that person is smack dab in the middle. They'll pass this area. This one might be hard to tell because there are quite a few lows compared to 1 high and 2 mediums. But what I'm trying to show you is the PMI do not tell you your exact score, like 10%, 20%. They don't tell you that. All right, let's go back. So the score is currently undisclosed. It's a 4-hour exam. Like she said, it's more harder going through the exam than the airport. Airport, you go through once, but anytime you take a break on the 4-hour exam, they've got to scan you back in. So they'll use the wand to check, to make sure you're not carrying anything that you shouldn't. Not weaponry, but knowledge weapons, like formulas on a tiny sheet of paper and things like that. So they'll ask you to empty your pockets. They'll ask you to pull up your pants so they can see your socks. So one of my students, they asked her to take her glasses off. And they asked her to take her engagement rings off. So that was fun for her. But it's a 4-hour exam, and within the exam, you'll have questions, 200, and there's going to be one correct answer. It's immediate results, so the moment you get done, you see the results. You know if you passed or not. The PMI also evaluates proficiency levels in each process group, just like I showed you. So they'll give you this overall score sheet. If you are anywhere to the left, you will swim. If you are anywhere to the right, you will sink. Not you, but whoever it is. You guys are all going to do well. But anyone who falls to this part is below target, needs improvement overall. Now, in the individual areas of initiating planning, you could get these same breakouts. And whether you get into target zone or not depends on how well you do overall in all of those areas. So it says, what does this diagram mean? The diagram uses 4 different performance rating categories to show your overall performance on the exam. So for Sandra, she's here. You see, that's where you want to be. This is where she was. You want to be here. Don't plan to be here. Plan to be here. Seriously, plan to be here. Les Brown says, shoot for the moon, and if you miss, at least you'll be among the stars. So shoot for the moon. This is the moon. Shoot for that. That's what you want. And then they give you a breakdown by these domains, and you can see target, 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 below target, above target. You want above target. She had all above targets. So that's what you want to do. And this afternoon, she's going to be sharing with you how she did that. You want to be here this afternoon. That's where a lot of the tricks are going to be shared. So we've talked about this breakdown. This is how each domain is broken down. How do you study for the exam? Use any tricks that you can come up with. This afternoon, I'm going to be showing you guys some of my instructor tricks, and she's going to be showing you some of her student tricks, what she used from a student perspective. See, which is really powerful. Study tips at a high level, understand the objectives of the PMBOK guide. Practice test, you want to speak about practice test a bit?
Yeah, I think I mentioned at the beginning, the first time I took a quiz, I failed it. and, and that was devastating. I don't fail normally. So just setting yourself up to know that it's okay to fail, and you're going to fail probably more than one quiz, and that's okay too. It's understanding how they're asking the question, the way they're asking the question. Maybe there's some words in there that you understand that word, but it has a different meaning in this context. So understanding exactly what they're asking. And sometimes the answers can be really specific. There's difference between executing something or monitoring something. So understanding those differences can be really important.
Cool. We often say, do not cram, understand. If you cram, it's not going to help you. You know, some of my students, I say, open book test. And they still fail it because they don't understand. They're trying to be parrots, cramming. But this exam is not really about cramming. It's about the application of the knowledge. You know, it's like you give someone off the street one of your industrial engineering books. They can't use it, even if they've got the book in front of them. Same thing on the PMP exam. Even if you have the PMBOK guide in front of you, but you don't understand the application of it, you won't pass the exam. So the understanding is key. And the formulas need to be understood. So I often say, do the pre-course work, and I say it twice, because a lot of times people just want to jump into doing past questions. It won't help you on this exam. Like do it. In fact, there are no past questions from the PMI, are there?
No, there's not.
You only have questions from providers like us, but the pre-course work that I'm referring to is the work that Sandra did after the conference. So you want to talk about that, the work you did online after the conference?
Sure. So after the conference online, there was links to several pieces of study work organized by chapter. So I went through and did a chapter work on chapter 4. Read all the material. There was small little quizzes within it. And then there was a separate quiz afterwards. And so you take all those quizzes. That helped me get to my 35 hours. but it also helped me understand the material and maybe some of the questions that they might ask, or the way they might ask the questions. So each chapter had almost like another set of word reading, and it was different than reading the PMBOK. Maybe summarized a little bit or put just slightly different way, helped understand a little bit better. Quiz.
Oh, is that, oh, it went off? Oh, the bar's reduced. You can use mine. Oh, you know what? We'll just use the one right there. So can you bring it down? Are you speaking to it?
So I can speak into this one, and then you turn it up a little bit more. Okay, whoa, too much. But yeah, so each chapter had a standalone quiz, as well as some small quizzes within it. This supplemental material really helped, along with the PMBOK guide, to understand what they were talking about within each chapter.
Good. Okay. Use flashcards, focus on your weak areas. One of the things I used to do was focus on areas where I felt I knew because it made me feel good. But I'll tell you that you shouldn't do that. Focus on your weak areas. Yeah, you might be good in scheduling, but focus on what you're not good at. I would say study with a colleague or study group and understand why an answer is correct. So right here, you guys can set up alliances to study together. I want to really encourage you, go the distance. Go the distance, do it. I think we're off the record now, so yeah, that's family on that one, but we're off the record. So here's my chance. You guys are being offered an obscene deal right now, seriously. This course, when other companies deliver it, they usually charge upwards of $1.5 to $2 grand. Praizion and SHPE have collaborated to make it available to you at a ridiculous rate of $2.99. Now let me tell you what you're getting, and don't tell people outside, seriously. Don't even tell people about this link. Seriously, don't tell people, because this has never been this low. I'll show you up here what the real website is, and then I'll show you what we have for SHPE members. So this is the real website. This is the going rate that Praizion is offering it. And our rate is even lower than most people. For SHPE members, to get the exact amount that we are offering it to SHPE members, go to ship.praizion.com. SHPE.praizion.com. Go there. It will take you to this site. The hidden link is here. Oh, I'm not even sharing. That's good, because I don't want people to see. But for Adrian, I'm sorry, you guys do need to see. But hang on, let me just get Adrian and Co to be able to see it. Bear with me. What are we on? Okay, screen 2. Okay. So let me pause the recording. Oh, it's even paused. All right, so ship.praizion.com is the site. You want to click on contact, and this is the ridiculous amount that you're being offered. When you click, hang on, I'm going to kind of, I need to hide the screen because this is barely allowable. I mean, anyone seen this, just ask anyone outside how much these courses go for. But if you click on Buy Now, it will take you here. That is the amount. This is a ridiculous amount, folks. Let me tell you what you're going to get with this. First of all, you're going to get live, online, virtual training, which means the same way I'm training here, you guys are going to be able to attend a course starting on the 17th of November. That is going to be done virtual like this, but with a live instructor. Most courses will not offer you a live instructor. They'll say, you only have online. Now, when Sandra did it, she only had online. You guys are going to get the same package she had online. You're going to get that for 6 months, 6. So even if you missed any of the sessions, you can catch up online and use the same content she did. But you're also going to be able to join me on my next course starting on the 17th of November to the 8th of December. And I've got folks from the U.S. Army that have already signed up for that training and are going to be there. They didn't get it for the rate you guys are getting it for. Seriously. Seriously. So in offering it to you in collaboration with SHPE, I can tell you this is the best deal you will ever find for a package deal that gives you virtual training with an online option. She's been through the program. She's been through the program. She can speak to it. Now, on top of that, you heard her talking about the audio that she listened to on the way to work and stuff like that. You guys are getting even more audio because we have 20 hours of audio. 20 hours of audio that you'll be able to download to your iTunes and listen to around the clock. So what are we doing? We're really setting you up for success on this journey. And it's only available till the end of the conference. Once the conference is done, I'll even be glad to get that page down because it's almost like scratching the realms of this cannot be legitimate, Phil. Seriously, I'm not exaggerating. Never before has this been offered at this ridiculous deal. I'm not in sell mode, you know. I'm not in sell mode. When I get into sell mode, you'll know. This is your friend Phil, just trying to act as a colleague here to show you what will make sense. Let me take you to this page because I want you to really see how much you're going to be saving yourself. So the course you're getting, if you go to the Praizion page, this one right here, okay, this one right here, sign up, let's hit that. If you go to this page and you go to the sign up, what do you see? 1 week for $125. You guys are getting 6 months for $299. Now, if you click the drop down, 6 months, $550. That is just online. That is not even the virtual. So you guys are getting a boatload of stuff. Last but not least, I just want to show you this package that Sandra talked about. The audio, it doesn't come with this. The audio is separate. So if you were going to get the audio for this, you would be going to this link over here, the audio digest. Where is it? There, 20 hours. And how much does it cost? Let's see. Oh, $175. So if you add 175 to 550, and then you add another 750 on top, you're going into the thousands. So my recommendation to anyone who is here in the room, oh, it's even, okay, I'm not sharing it. Thank goodness. Okay. If you really mean business to get certified, you want to go to ship.praizion.com. That's shpe.praizion.com. And from next week, Saturday, you guys can join me along with folks from the U.S. Army that mean business in getting this done, and many other organizations. Many people have signed up. I'm so glad I'm not online. Many people have signed up already for $799, $750, much higher prices than what you guys are going to get it for. You're also going to get a study guide, a 535-page study guide. Do you remember the Essentials book? This big old book for the exam. You're going to get that as well. So we've got you covered. If you do not sign up, it's almost criminal. Seriously, almost. Except you don't want to get certified. If you do want to get certified and you don't sign up for this program, I mean, what else is SHPE going to do? So being here is great. This is going to get you a very good foundation, but I want you guys to go to the next level, which is actually follow through like she did. Follow through. Follow through. And just for $299, you guys are going to get training that people spend thousands for. Thousands. All right? So that is the summary. I really wanted to hit this because I know some people are not going to be here in the afternoon. So let me round off what we're talking about. This is back in line with what Jackie asked in the beginning. To maintain the PMP, you need 60 PDUs. Okay? I know we've got 6 minutes left, so I'm just going to give you a little taste here. This is what Sandra and I will be covering when you come back from break. Like a lot of the details of what is in the exam in a lot of minutia. So I know we've talked about people getting a headache. It's not the first session that people cry about. It's the subsequent sessions. But I hope you still come back, though. I hope I don't scare you off. Because if you really mean business getting certified, this is the stuff you want to know. All right, do you have any questions before we go across on our little break? Or concerns? Just remember, if Sandra could do it, if your friend Phil, who is one of the most unserious people, could do it. I'm serious. I'm not very serious. I'm serious. I'm not very serious. If I could do it like way back in 2005, you guys can do it. Seriously. You can become a PMP and you can be here like us training this stuff. All right? Any other questions or concerns? Uh-huh.
What happens if you completely fail one section? Do you fail the whole exam?
No. So for you, of course, you're going to pass all the sections with a no-brainer, of course. But for anyone, the unfortunate victim that fails one area, they could still pass the exam. So we've had students who failed 2 areas, and they still scrape by on the overall exam. But for you, you're going to kill everything.
Yeah, just wondering.
To help those less fortunate ones. Yeah. Yes, Aldo.
So you said there's no specific order, so you can have like an immediate question and then a full question.
Yeah.
So you said you get immediate results, so it's all like on computer. You can like just get the question and answer it.
Oh, yes. Yeah. In next section, we'll try to touch on those. But she's going to be sharing a lot of stuff and tactical stuff. Don't want to miss it.
Is this working? Yeah, okay. One thing to remember, like you asked about the different sections. We had a slide that talked about, and I'll remember closing is 7%. It kind of gave a breakdown of how much initiating versus planning, monitoring, executing, monitoring, closing. So those break down by percentages. Closing right now is 7%. There's only one process in closing. Therefore, probably you want to know that process pretty good to do well in closing. But let's say that you had a mental breakdown that day and you didn't do well on the closing section, so maybe you got below target on closing. You can get above target on monitoring and controlling, and that balances out because monitoring and controlling is a higher percentage of the exam than closing is.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks. Well, we really appreciate you sticking with us, and we'll see you on the next during the next session. All right. If there are any questions you want one-on-one, you can feel free to ask either of us. We'll be more than happy to answer them. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's for 1 p.m.
Same place?
Yeah. Same place. Yeah, we're here all through. We ain't going nowhere.
Just across the way.
Yeah, I hear it's just over there.
Okay, yeah. The room number is 203. Should be just across the way.
That was great. No, you did great. Thank you. One moment. Let me turn this on.